Are you ready? Stand by.
Hey everybody, Dave Hartman here, and welcome to the Three Gun Show. This is episode 216, recorded at the Colorado Three Gun Championship with Adam Reiser, and we talk about how to manage your match logistically, physically, and mentally to ensure your best performance. This podcast is brought to you by IWI. I'm so excited to partner with IWI to shoot the Red October Kalashnikov Championship when Jeremy, their VP of sales, hit me up and he's like, Dave, did you shoot the Red October match last year? And I was like, yeah, man, I did. And he's like, do you want to shoot it again this year with one of our Galeels? And I was like, yeah, man, that sounds cool and all, but I think it's just for AKs. That statement is pretty silly, knowing what I know now, which the Galil is an AK. It's just the modern version of the AK. So IWI, Israeli Weapons Industries, has been modifying their Galil for about 40 years now. So where Russia took the AK, they're like, here, this is the best we can do, and they never touched it again. IWI has been modifying this thing, and the current version is the Ace, which is what I have. Since I knew I was going to shoot this in competition and I was going to throw a Vortex optic on top, I knew that I wanted the 5.56 model. Let me tell you why. So the Red October Kalashnikov Championship, any optic you put on your rifle puts you in open division. So I figured if I'm going to be in open anyway, let's get something I can use the Magpul P-Mags and the D60, which fit just fine in this 5.56 version. You can hear it in the background. So Magpul D60s fit. All your normal 5.56 223 magazines fit this thing. Midwest Industries makes a cool rail for this, and they sent one out for me to put on this rifle and try it out. Really digging it. ALG sent a trigger, which is for the 7.62 by 39. I'm still kind of modifying it to fit this receiver. K&S sent a adapter plate for the buttstock, which is awesome because I've got a Dissident Arms fully adjustable stock that I've worked this thing to fit me perfectly, which is pretty awesome, especially when you're shooting a scope up top, the Razor 1-6 like I am. And Rise Armaments sent a muzzle brake for this thing, which is pretty sweet. So IWI conned me into shooting one of their Galil rifles, and I'm really pumped about it because after shooting this thing in a few matches, I'm really digging the way that it handles and how all the weight is back at the center of this thing, because this is a milled receiver, and it's a milled steel receiver. So the receiver is a lot heavier than an AR-15, but the where it puts the weight is fun to handle. It handles really well. So looking forward to shooting this at the Red October Kalashnikov Championship. If you want to check one out yourself, iwi.us is where you can find that. And more good stuff coming from the Three Gun Show and IWI in the future. This podcast is brought to you by Breda USA, Italian shotguns that are the best in the world. And this is a shotgun tech tip from Team Breda. Hey, this is Dave Hartman from the Three Gun Show, and I'm with Tina Martin-Nims from Team Breda, and we are going to learn about choke selection.
So before you go out to the match, you want to make sure that you have an understanding of how what your chokes are patterned at. So what I like to do is I have my three main chokes that I usually use, which is a spreader, an IC, an improved cylinder, and a mod. And I set my targets out at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And it's just like a knockover steel and a flipper. And I test to see what how they perform at those distances with the ammo that I typically use. And so when I go out onto a stage, I already know that at, say, 35 yards, I can use my mod choke and knock it out, and I'll be ready to go.
Awesome. All right, well, that's your tech tip from Tina Martin-Nims of Team Breda. Check out Breda's B12i 3-gun ready inertia-driven shotgun at bredausa.com. That's BREDA. Thank you for joining me here on the Three Gun Show, the world's largest three-gun podcast. This show is purpose-built for you to learn about practical shooting while you're on your commute at the gym or even at work. Maybe walking the dog. Who knows? Take the dog out for a walk. Everybody likes dogs. Every single Wednesday, there's a new episode waiting for you to download, listen to, and learn. By the way, there has been 3 bonus Match Recon podcasts since last week's show. Match Recon with Di Muller, A Girl and a Gun Fall Fest, with Josh Tarrant for Blue Ridge, and with myself and my pal Wade Jones for the Red October Kalashnikov Championship. The Red October one dropped this morning as I'm recording this, and I've gotten several texts from people today that said they almost went off the road at the stories we told at the end and the funny things that happened at the match. So for those of you that are patrons, you've already heard these because you get to hear those real time. If you haven't heard them yet, go check them out. I'll have links to actually just go to 3gunshow.com. That's where everything is, or find it in your favorite podcast player, and be sure to subscribe. And by the way, Google Play is going away. So if you listen on Google Play and you've messaged me and said it's not updating, it's because they're no longer supporting it. So Google Podcast is their new app. I think we're in there now. Search for us. I'll probably do that after the show here and figure it out. But follow us on Instagram, Facebook, etc. Subscribe on YouTube. And like all the posts, comment, and interact with us. We'd love to have you. We'd love to hear from you. And I respond to all that stuff myself. So that's the best way to get a hold of me, I guess. And for those of you that want to keep the shows flowing in the future, support the 3 Gun Show on Patreon. You can find links to all that stuff at 3gunshow.com/episode 216. And here we go. So this last week has been an incredibly busy one for me. I'm simultaneously trying to keep up the content with the podcast here, schedule future podcasts, as well as be assistant match director for the Big Ben Blast and Dash. You've heard me talk about this one before, so I won't mention it too much more. But we got a match coming up in 2 weeks here. That'll be the weekend after the Red October Kalashnikov Championship. So I'm traveling for the Red October match, coming back, and then I'll be on the range all week for the Big Ben Blast and Dash, which is a 5K running gun that we're doing here in Colorado. Whoo! Busy time. It's good to be busy, though, and lots of cool stuff happening here at the 3 Gun Show. And we bring all that fun stuff to you in podcast form, in video form, on the socials, all that good stuff. Now, on to this week's show. Adam Reiser is back on the podcast. I always enjoy having Adam on because when Adam and I are going to be in the same place, Adam's a smart guy, and he's like, hey, Dave, you're going to be at this match. What do you think about this topic? And it's generally a good one. Sometimes we need to work it out. I don't usually do any of the hard lifting. Adam does all that, which is another reason I love him so much. But I really like this podcast. This one was important for me and should be at the top of everyone's mind. We talk about making your schedule for the year, mitigating burnout, plus like high-level stuff like mental game parts of it, pro tips for flying, temper tantrums, and stage planning, like step by step. Adam has like a really cool analytical mind, and we call this the match management episode, and it goes into much, much more than that. But you're gonna like it, so sit tight, enjoy it. Let me know what you think at 3gunshow.com, and enjoy this podcast with Adam Reiser. Adam.
Dave.
Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, man.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, good to be here. Happy to be in an air-conditioned building. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is great. We found this nice shady place outside, and we were gonna record the podcast there, and the wind kicked up. So we're like, oh, let's see if we can find somewhere else that's a little quiet. And there's air conditioning. This is great. So we've been on the range for 2 days at the Colorado 3 Gun Championship in 90-degree heat. So this is a nice change.
Oh yeah, definitely. Nice cold beer. We're in a good place.
Nice. Well, one of the topics that you and I have talked about recently is something that I could have used before this match. I'll be honest.
You guys need to go to Dave's Facebook page and see his video of Stage 8.
Yeah, it's on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
I had a little trouble, and so we're here to talk about match management.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you who don't know Adam, you should go back and listen to the previous show. I'll put the link in the show notes. But Adam is an instructor at the TPC, and he has shot all over the country as a representative of several companies, and so we seem to run into each other everywhere that we go.
Yep.
And now you're in my home state in Colorado.
It's awesome. This is my first Colorado match. It's fantastic.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I'm a little sketched out with the whole are my magazines legal thing. That's a little scary, but no, it's awesome. This match has been great.
It's something we generally don't talk about.
Oh.
We don't talk about it on recording for sure.
Oh, okay. Allegedly. Yeah. Yeah, it is
kind of weird because, so for those that don't know, 2013, we had a magazine ban go into effect here in Colorado. You cannot bring any new magazines into the state as a retailer, wholesaler, or whatever that are going to be distributed in the state. So if you have like an online business and you ship to Texas, Wyoming, et cetera, you can do all that, but can't sell them retail in the state. But the way it's written is transfer, which transfer is way open. So like I can't give you a magazine.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, and you can't bring them here because you transferred them to the state.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's really messed up,
Yeah.
but it's not enforced.
Yeah.
So that's the weird part.
Yeah.
And then, but it's funny because, you talk to a lot of guys that shoot here in Colorado and they're like, oh, it's okay, it's not enforced. Nothing is enforced until
it's enforced.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things like it's not a problem until it's the first time it's a problem, and then it's a big problem.
You don't want to be the first guy.
No.
Nobody wants to be that guy.
No, exactly. And you don't want to be the first sportsman to do it too, because it's been applied several different times for people that are already committing crimes, as like Adiron, right? We're just going to throw everything at them. But, you don't want to be the first guy that's just minding his own business and all of a sudden the D60 gets you into some hot water.
Luckily, you can't shoot a D60 in TAC at Kevin's match.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I had to do a rifle reload on the clock for the first time in like 3 years, which is rad. I think that's great. I think they should not be in TAC. I think you should have to reload a rifle. It is a skill, just like reloading the pistol and a shotgun.
It's so I don't think reloading is a skill. First off.
Is that because you're not skilled at it or because it's not a skill?
It's because I'm not skilled at it. It's because I use that D60 or the big 40 round PMAG crutch, anywhere
for like
I
everything.
Can. Yeah, exactly. So I also don't think that drums or quad stack magazines belong in TAC or limited for that matter. So it is good to see that rule set here. And the part that's difficult for me is that it's a different rule set. And like those quirky rule sets, like no matter where you go, those little things are something you got to watch out for. Like Land Win, Dissident Arms, got bumped to open from TAC.
Limited open.
Yeah, got bumped to lim open.
Oh man, well, and that's kind of part of the match management thing is that the homework. Like I actually have a little thing on my phone. I read Kevin's entire rule set front to back. And I made a little note of, like, what are the penalties for different targets, what kind of weird, like mag restrictions. There's something in there about the silo, which I don't use, but there's a bunch of very specific, like, this is okay and this is not type stuff. And I want to know all of that going in. Yeah.
So that's a good thing to talk about. And I fall into the trap of, like, most matches are so similar that,
TAC is TAC. Yeah, I'll just go shoot some TAC and I'll be fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I find that I take less care the more matches I shoot because like I have the illusion that I've been there, done that, right? And so like we're for example, this morning I'm first up on the all shotgun stage, and there's a spinner on there, and this match limits your shot to the largest size is 7.5. It's 1 1/8 ounce, and it's 1,350 feet per second, right? So I've got this box of, like, extreme long range that's 7.5, but it's 1.25 ounces. I was like, oh, dang, can't use that. And then I hear in the walkthrough, the RO told us, like, it's a 5-second penalty if you use anything other than 7.5. And I'm like, oh, only a 5-second penalty?
Yeah.
When I can only have 8 rounds on my gun, that saves me a quad load.
Yeah.
So Garrison England busts out the the number 6s. But I was honestly surprised by that. It's only a 5-second penalty because that's, anywhere else they give you a 45-second penalty
or something. Per shot.
Yes, it's per
so
shot.
if it takes you more than one, you're eating 10, and you're shooting against a 60-second penalty target, and it's costing you 5 seconds every time you shoot at it. Like, that math gets pretty nasty in a hurry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You have to add, subtract, divide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you need a calculator to figure out if it's a good idea for you to shoot a certain load, you should probably just stick with whatever's not going to cost you penalties.
Yeah, so I just took one round out with me and did it, so no big deal there. But that 5 seconds does save a quad load, saves you from fumbling, saves
Totally.
that kind of stuff. Screwing with a target that's far away saves you from choking up to mod and then maybe not hitting birds. So there was a lot of benefits to it, but I was a little disappointed in myself that I found that out on the stage before I was going to shoot.
Yeah.
And this is a club match with a rule set that I've shot several times.
Yeah. Well, initially I heard it was supposed to be a match DQ.
Yes.
And
I heard that as well.
It just got changed pretty recently. So maybe you knew going in.
Well,
and, yeah.
I don't know. I guess in a I don't consider it in a club match because I wouldn't consider gaming something that hard in a club match.
You don't game that hard in a club match?
No.
You're not club matching right, man.
But then the other thing is that the targets are never that far, or the spinners are never
pretty
that far
far
away.
spinner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they always put them really close for the because in club matches we
you
have
don't
a lot
want to
of
make the new
shooters
guy
and stuff.
cry.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I've never really thought about exactly how much how hard to game that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're here to talk about match management.
Yep.
It starts apparently by reading the rules.
Well-
How far out are you planning? So you have a big match schedule. I have a big match schedule. It's difficult
I'm
to
planning
get a
the whole
big
year
scope.
in the fall before.
Okay.
So the first thing that I do, so my main gig is actually climbing, like rock climbing and alpine climbing. I do a few multi-week trips a year. I went to Alaska this year. I'm going to Canada in a couple weeks. So I put everything on a calendar and I figure out where I can actually shoot matches in that calendar. So that's the first thing that I do. And then I start looking at all of the matches that I might want to shoot. And I literally just make a list. Like, this sounds cool. This sounds cool. I heard about this thing. This is within driving distance. This requires getting on a plane. I kind of start playing that, benefit reward thing there. And then I start plotting those matches on the calendar. And then so when matches start overlapping, I'm like, all right, this one's close, this one's far, this one sounds really cool, this one sounds kind of dumb. I got some friends going to this one. This one's natural terrain, which I tend to like more than base stage stuff because I'm not good at the super fast little hosey things. And I start just picking which one of those matches that I want to do. And then my new...
we're talking major matches, right?
Yeah, we're talking major matches. Club matches, I basically shoot, like, if I happen to be in town that weekend, then I'll shoot a club match. But most weekends when it's not 1,000,000 degrees, I'm going to be climbing or biking because that's, it's kind of like that beautiful spring, fall weather. That's like the prime climbing season. You can't rock climb hard when it's 100 degrees outside. Like, it's just, you get sweaty, there's friction, it's a problem. And so the club matches are like, if I happen to be there, I'll shoot a club match, and if I'm not, then I won't. But they don't go on the calendar. So then my new personal rule this year, after last year going a little bit crazy, is I try not to shoot more than one major in the same month. And I have a very strict no majors on back-to-back weekends rules this year. So last year I got back from a 3-week climbing trip in Canada with my wife. I got home. I was home for 36 hours, unpacked from that trip, packed for Rocky Mountain, drove to Rocky Mountain, shot Rocky Mountain, drove home. I was home for 48 hours, unpacked from Rocky Mountain, repacked, flew to Park City, Kentucky, and shot the Pro-Am, flew back. I was home for a whole weekend, and then flew to Missouri for Generation 3 gun. And, like, at the end of August, I was like, I just kind of don't want to shoot guns anymore.
Yeah,
It just took all the fun right out of it. So I want enough time to decompress. If I'm having some gun issues, I don't want to have to fix that in, like, a 48-hour period before I get into playing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny thing, I'm looking at almost the exact same kind of thing for the next 6 weeks. I'll be gone, 4 days out of the week at least for 5 of those weeks. So
luckily your guns aren't like a top. So
yeah, it seemed like a great idea when I had guns that ran. But,
yeah.
So yeah, now I'm looking at. Well, the joke I was making was that once Rocky Mountain's done, I'm going to quit 3-gun. It's just a joke, but because it's consecutive.
Oh yeah, it's
weeks
the last
of travel.
match in there.
Well, yeah, that's the last match. This is the first match, and that's the last one. So,
oh man,
yeah, Rocky Mountain 6 weeks from right now, and I'll be gone 5 weeks because of that. I know it sounds like a good problem to have. It's one of those high quality problems, but it is. It is something to manage.
Well, it's like burnout management is a real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have both seen really good shooters like come and blossom and just like vanish off the face of the earth because they just took all the fun out of it. And it's like I used to be a climbing guide, and the reason that I stopped guiding climbs was I started hating climbing. I'd have a day off, and the last thing I wanted to do was go climb. I was like, I just want to sit on the couch and drink beer and watch a movie in a nice air-conditioned building. I don't want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to climb something. And yeah, so you really have to keep it fun. Like, make sure that you have enough time there that it's still an enjoyable thing. It's super important.
Yep. I think your 1 match a month and no consecutive weekends is a good rule. Last year, I kind of felt a little bit of the burnout as well, coming off of Gen 3, which is kind of ironic. But I set that same rule, and unfortunately, it didn't work out because I say yes too easily.
Yeah. Too nice of a guy, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I know. But again, it's high quality problem, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly.
I know. I don't want to sound like
and you're in a slightly different situation because like your entire job and everything is sort of attached to that. So it's a little bit different than me, where it's like I'm a climber and then I want to go shoot these matches, and I want to make sure I keep enjoying both of those things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I want to keep enjoying 3-gun as well.
Really?
Yeah. Seriously. Can you imagine if it started to suck?
Dude,
like I don't want to.
No, like this is not a thing that you can do if it's not fun anymore.
No.
Like there's no money in it. There's no fame. There's no nothing. Like there's no reason to do this.
It's
if
too
you're not having
expensive.
fun.
It's physically taxing. It takes up a ton of time.
Yeah.
And especially if you want to be good, it takes up even more time.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, why would you want to be a part of it if it wasn't fun? So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, okay. Sorry, we got off on a little tangent there, but back up to making the calendar.
Okay.
So once you've got your calendar, once you pick out all the matches that you might want to shoot,
Yep.
like how do you narrow them down to the ones you're actually going to shoot?
So I narrow them down based on, I'll tend to lean towards anything that I can drive to, obviously, because as soon as a plane is involved, everything gets a lot more expensive. And then I will start calling up friends that have shot the matches if it's something I haven't shot, and see like what they thought about the match. Listen to like the match recon episodes and see what the match seems like. I'll see who might be going to that match, because if I can go shoot with, like I prefer if my squad had like 1 or 2 friends and 1 or 2 people who like took 3-gun seriously, not even like had to be good, but just like took it seriously, doing stage walkthroughs. I know they're good, they're good resetters, good squad mates, like the kind of people you want to squad with. If I have a couple of those people and then a bunch of people that I've never met, so I can kind of expand that umbrella of friends in 3-gun, like that's my ideal squad. So if I'm going to like this, and I'm like, oh sweet, like who's going to this match that I know, awesome, I can squad to that person, like that'll help. So but a lot of it is just personal preference, location, and the overall expense of just traveling to that match. So it's like if there's a really cool match in Park City, Kentucky, and there's a really cool match in St. George, probably going to drive 4 hours to St. George instead of getting on a plane and flying to Park City, Kentucky. Right. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that is what I think most people do. From my observation, there's pockets of 3-gun everywhere. It seems like most people shoot within maximum 10 hours of where they live.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why you've got like the western pockets of 3-gun, and then you've got like the Texas pocket.
Yeah.
and then East Coast and Midwest.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way I look at it. But it's super regional, but it does really complicate things when you think about flying for 3-gun.
As soon as a plane is involved, it's a big deal for sure. And that's definitely one of the things. As soon as I do pick a match that involves a plane, I immediately book that ticket. I want to get that as far in advance as I can, because I want to make sure, for any match that I'm traveling to, I want to make sure that I can get there early enough to walk stages the day before, because big complicated. There's some matches where you can kind of get away without that, like some of the UML stuff. You can just sort of show up early in the morning and figure it out. But like something like this, I mean, that horseshoe stage, it took us like an hour to figure out what we're going to do there, because there's so many options.
Luckily, I got there when you were like 55 minutes into it.
Yeah, so. I was like, hey, Dave, this is what you're doing. Here's option B if you want it. They're both fine. Yeah, or you can like honestly like have a friend that you trust to like walk the stages.
That's a lot of trust.
That's a lot of trust for sure.
And then you're putting pressure on your friend too.
I was actually I was the first shooter on the first stage on the first day at this match, and I found a target on the stage while I was making ready that I did not know was there.
Oh, you're kidding.
So like the little streaming video they did, I have like, you know, the shitty like 5-minute GM make ready where I'm like, that's because I like literally found a target while I was making ready that I had no idea was there, which we'll get to later. I got a little lazy in something I should have done. But yeah, so I want to make sure that I can fly in or drive into that match at least like noon, 1 o'clock-ish the day before. So I have that whole afternoon to walk stages. And then I want to make sure that my flight out is at the very earliest, like really, really, really late on the last day of the match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't want to be that guy at the prize table like, oh, God, I hope they hurry up. I got a flight in 3 hours. Like,
yeah.
that guy doesn't have fun.
I joke all the time on the podcast, like, that guy was like, are you new here?
Mm-hmm.
Is this your first match?
Yeah, they're like, man, I hope they wrap this prize table up. I'm like, ooh. Yeah, they got like 100 sponsors to thank first. And
not only that, but it's all the stuff leading up to that particular moment in time.
Yeah.
Right? Because, you know, scores could be laid, stage could be laid.
Reshoots,
could rain.
The wind blew some stuff down.
Yeah, there could be a tornado. Last year there was like torrential downpour here that, I mean, it's there's all kinds of Murphy's Law type things. And when you're counting on, like, if everything goes right, I'll be able to get a flight at 2 p.m.
Oh,
it's
man,
like, no, bro.
Like you're red eye at best.
Yeah.
I tried to just straight up do the next morning.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way to go for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So then once you've booked all your flight stuff, if you need to do it, or you I'm driving, you've got your crew of people that you're going to be shooting with.
Yep. Yeah, and same thing applies. Like, get the Airbnb ahead of time. You know, rental cars, whatever. Like, just get that stuff in the bag.
Mm-hmm. So you book all these logistics like in the fall.
Yeah, I booked the Airbnb for our house at Nationals like 6 months in advance.
Okay.
Because I just straight up don't want to worry about that. And I got like the Google. I'm like the most alien type of dude you've ever met. And so I got the Google Calendar with like, I'm signed up for this match. Yes. I'm paid. Yes. I'm squatted. Yes. Like these are the people on my squad. These are their phone numbers. Like we got the Airbnb. It's booked. Like I have like the checklist in Google Calendar. Like if I click on the match, it has like what's been done and what hasn't. So I don't ever be like, oh crap, I never squatted, and then I end up on a bunch of people I don't want to shoot with or something. So yeah, so I book that stuff as far in advance as I can. So, and I learned if you're the guy that arranges the Airbnb, when people say yes, get their money.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
Dude, I learned that at SHOT Show.
Oh man.
You know, there's a lot of people that say like, "Oh yeah, I'll get you back. Totally. We just handshake. We don't need anything written down."
Yeah. Dude, get their money
right. The shooting industry, get money right away.
Our house for Nationals, the entire population of the house turned over twice.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh yeah, 8-person house turned over twice.
Jeez.
And I got to say, the people that bailed at the last minute still paid. So.
Oh really?
Hats off to them.
Yeah.
So that's like next level. I appreciated that quite a bit.
That's pretty incredible.
Otherwise, I would have eaten like. It was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be like $100 a person for like the whole thing, and it was going to be like $500 for me, so that would have sucked.
That's exactly what happened to me at SHOT Show.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so pro tip.
Yeah. Get
also,
money right when you do it.
The universal rule, and I think my buddies and I made this up, the universal rule is if you book the Airbnb or the VRBO, you get to choose the bedroom you sleep in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That should go without saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep.
Well, so you have a checklist in Google. Like, is this something you create yourself, or is this like does it have a function where you create a checklist based on a
No, it's just in
calendar
like
date?
if you click on the calendar thing when you're like setting up the calendar, there's a spot for notes.
Oh.
And it's just like, transportation, did I ship ammo? Am I signed up? Am I squatted? Am I paid? Do I have a place to stay?
Dude, that is
and it's just like I got a lot of stuff going on in my life, man. I'll tell you what.
I totally agree.
You know why I'm so checklisty?
Because if you're not checklisty when you're rock climbing, you could die.
If you're not checklisty when you get off a plane in Alaska, and you're like, I don't know, maybe don't have some crampons or something, then you're not climbing shit, and it costs you like many thousands of dollars to get there. So this hasn't actually happened to me, but it happened to one of my partners. We had to go like tent to tent, like begging for spare gear.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, so like you don't, and that just, so now I just have a Google Keep is is the shit. It's like a checklist app that you can have on your computer and on your phone.
Okay.
And I have a checklist for everything. So I got my shooting checklist, and it's like, this is all my shooting stuff, and it's like, make sure I show up with everything that I need every single time.
Dude,
nothing sucks
that.
worse than like, I'm going to go do some load development and driving 2 hours out to the damn desert and forgetting your chrono.
I've been there.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
actually shown up to club matches with like no shotgun ammo at all.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
Is this match all slugs? Because I brought a ton of slugs.
Yeah, we're good to go. Yep.
Huh, checklist. So
Checklist.
you're total checklist guy.
I'm a total checklist
on
guy.
everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, fully.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's your packing checklist look like for a match like this? Like how far out are you running down that checklist of things that you need to bring?
Like how far in advance time-wise?
Yeah.
The big thing is the ammo, because if you are flying to a match that usually involves shipping ammo, and I want to do that at least 2 weeks out. So I'll find out, if there's a hotel that you can ship ammo to, if there's somebody local who can pick up for you. Usually, most places will have or ship ammo addresses, blah, 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 and they'll bring it to the thing. So with that,
Have you ever run into a problem with shipping ammo somewhere?
No.
Like it wasn't
No.
there when you showed up?
It's always been a thing. We've had some places that have kind of freaked out a little bit about shipping ammo when we've shown up at UPS, and they're like, "Oh, what's in here?" And we're like, "Ammo," and they're like, "Oh my God, you can." I'm like, "Yeah, no, you totally can. It's got the thing on the side." So the little I can't remember the name of the label, but it's the little triangular label.
It's like a hazmat label.
Yeah, I actually just have the PDF of that on my phone, so I can just hey, can you print one of these, and we'll just tape it to the side of the box, because they will not ship it without that.
Huh.
So yeah, so you got to tape that little hazmat label. And shipping ammo isn't nearly as bad as I thought. Straight up shipping put together ammo, there's no extra charge in UPS.
Right.
Yeah, so you just put it in a UPS box and take it down and make sure it has that label on it and ship it out, and I've never had a problem. But I want to ship it far enough ahead that if something happens and that package doesn't show up, then I can ship another package.
Oh, okay.
So, yep.
So you're talking a couple weeks out?
Yeah, and I usually ship I try to basically ship enough ammo for the match. If there's some stuff I won't ship, I'll usually not ship shotgun shells, because it's really easy just to roll in and buy some shotgun shells.
Yeah.
And then I'll usually
Almost every Walmart has
exactly.
anything.
You can go in and find some AA's or something. But the main thing is I want to make sure that my match rifle ammo shows up, because your gun likes your ammo, and my match ammo ain't gonna run in your gun, or it might, but you can't count on that. Your holds are going to be different. So that's the key thing. So I'll usually actually just fly with that, because I don't have to worry about it getting lost in transit or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then ship your pistol stuff and all blaster rifle
Yeah,
ammo.
and a new tip I learned is if you know you're going to be overweight, you can ship your uppers and fly with your lowers.
Huh.
Right? Because your upper's not a gun.
There's a pro tip.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you know your bag's going to be overweight, just fly with your lowers.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
never thought about that.
Yeah. Also, can somebody please make a hard-sided case that holds a shotgun with a 12-round tube on it, so you don't have to take that tube off?
Well, how long? I mean, is there a max of length? No, there can't be, because skis, people travel with skis all the time.
Yeah. I've actually really thought about, it has to be in a hard-sided case, so you can't use a ski bag, but I was like, there's
Right.
got to be a hard-sided
There
ski
are
bag.
hard-sided ski and
Yeah.
snowboard
Yeah.
thingies,
Maybe we should
and
look into that.
golf clubs too.
And that'd be great, because it doesn't look like a gun case when you're dragging your stuff
Yeah.
through the airport and into hotels and stuff.
Yeah, and when the airline just lets it go out on the normal baggage cart.
Yeah. And, man, pack your stuff well, because nothing sucks worse than, looking outside the airplane and seeing someone take your bag of, multiple $1,000 rifles and optics and throw it, the 5 feet to the
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
At least put up a curtain or something so we don't have to watch
Exactly. Yeah. We don't want to watch that abuse.
that. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so shipping ammo is the first thing you do a couple weeks out.
Yep.
What's the rest of the match prep look
So,
like leading up to it?
A lot of it depends on kind of the recon. So if I want to know what sort of the match flavor is, and for anybody who isn't like a Patreon and Dave show, those match recon episodes are 99% of what you need. Before that, it was all I would just start calling all of my friends and be like, "Hey, dude, I'm going to shoot Rocky Mountain." Yeah, YouTube. That is also I YouTubed all the match footage from this match that I could find, and so I could see kind of the flavor of the stages, because I want to see. Well, one is I got an 18-inch upper and a 14.5 pin and welded upper. So I just want to know is this a Hosey base stage, or is this Rocky Mountain and I'm going to be shooting 500-600-yard targets?
Right.
That's also going to dictate how many long-range rounds am I going to bring, how much long-range practice I'm going to put in. Like, this thing has 6 long-range targets in it, so not a lot of little base stage type practice. Whether or not it has slug targets, whether or not the slug target's really hard, whether or not I have to, like, shoot at a 120-yard pistol plate like we did here. Like my first MGM Ironman, there was an entire stage, Ironman stage. You had to shoot the whole stage left-handed, all 3 guns. I'm talking like a 300-second stage.
That sounds dumb.
It kind of was, but you had to be able to do it.
Sounds good if you're left-handed.
Yeah, and so that was one of the things I had to okay, how do I quad load my shotgun left-handed? How do I do a rifle reload left-handed? Where do I put this stuff in my belt? Like, you want to have that stuff in your head ahead of time, so you're not 3 shooters out moving caddies around on your belt trying to figure out how you're going to load your shotgun. So just the basic kind of the type of shooting that you're going to need to be able to do when you get there. And then just things like the climate. Is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? Things like that. Making sure you have all that appropriate stuff. So, Yep.
Man, you get way deeper in this than I do.
I'm a very anal retentive guy, Dave. I really I understand that I'm sometimes just not going to shoot well, but if I show up and I bomb a match because I just didn't do some homework, it hurts my feelings, Dave. It just really does.
Yeah, I'm kind of dealing with some of that too. I had a massive rifle malfunction on one stage, and when I pulled my bolt apart after the day of shooting was done, I found some stuff that could have easily been discovered if I had properly maintained or replaced springs. And in my head, was as I was mortaring and clearing that malfunction, was Kupika talking about how he takes apart his entire top end and replaces every single spring in there. And I was thinking, dude, why would you do that? Shit lasts forever.
Have you ever mortar cleared 5 rounds in a row? That's why.
Yeah, exactly. I was massively mouthing over there and trying to figure it out on the clock. It's oh, okay, yeah, Coop's a smart guy. It makes sense now.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I want to get all that stuff squared away, but most of that is to practice weird things. And one thing that I see a lot of people do is they'll find one weird thing in the match and they'll get really hung up on it.
Yeah.
And they'll practice that. And it's that is 1% of this match, right? It's this one weird prop on a 10-stage match, and they'll spend 2 weeks practicing this one weird prop.
Yeah, a good example would be the flying pistol clay at Benning last year.
Exactly.
You saw 30 videos of dudes practicing. It's we get it, man. Everybody's practicing.
We get it. Yeah, exactly. And it's it's one thing to go out and be okay, what's this like visually? But at the end of the day, people ask us all the time in classes. They're well, how do I practice shooting the zip line for MGM Ironman? How do I practice shooting from a golf cart? You just get really good at shooting.
Yeah.
And then you apply good shooting to those situations. If you're a good pistol shooter, you can shoot down the popper and hold where the clay is going to be and shoot the clay at the top of the arc, and it's just shooting. It's
right. It's not really any different than those Red Stitch swinging steels, because those have an arc.
Exactly right.
And so you're basically following a target. It's much smaller.
Right. Yeah.
It's not held in place by a piece of steel. It's using gravity.
Well, that's the thing. It's 3-gun, I say, is it feels like very simple shooting disguised is really complicated shooting.
Really? How's that?
Well, it's just when you really think about it, take the kind of the Rainbow Bright stage that had all the different colored stuff on it.
So for people that aren't listening, it was red, white, and blue targets, all steel targets. It was all pistol, red, white, and blue box. Shoot the red targets from the red box, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, but they're kind of stacked front to back, so you can shoot behind some and in front of some, and you can't hit one that's the wrong color. And people just got wrecked on that thing because they got so keyed into the perfect stage plan that they forgot to do the shooting part when they got there.
Yep.
And so there's some spots where you can kind of shoot a little fast, and then there's some spots where in my stage plan I shot the second activator back. That was the white one in the middle there.
Yeah, and it's partially obscured by an activator in front.
Yeah.
So instead of having an 8-inch target,
you got
you'll have a 4-inch target.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so
4-inch target's entirely achievable.
Oh, it's entirely achievable, and it's just pop, 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 get to that target, pause, sight picture, trigger press, and then move on from there. And people just forget to do the shooting part. And I'm as guilty as anybody, right? You're just I need to do this fast because that's the point of the game. And it's just like the clay thing. It's like it seems super complicated. It's like, no, you shoot down the popper, you wait till the clay gets to the top of the arc, and you execute a good trigger press and a good side picture, and the clay breaks. Like, but somehow it just makes our brains explode.
Yeah, when you put those all together, it's like...
Yeah, so the gist is, like, if there's some weird, complicated thing that you can't practice for, just practice shooting with the gun that you're going to shoot that thing with, because that's what it really comes down to. So
I gotcha. Okay, so you're looking at the match book. You're looking at recon, seeing if there's anything goofy that stands out from you. You're listening to the match recon on the Patreon group.
Like that plug?
Hell yeah!
Oh, yeah.
And it's good to hear though that people are actually using it for that.
No,
too.
dude, I would have killed for that like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When especially early in the sport, when I didn't know anybody, when I couldn't just like call up Brian and be like, "Hey, what's such and such match like?" and he could just tell me because I didn't know anybody. So I mean, I drove to.
It exists because there was a hole.
Yeah. Exactly.
It didn't. There was no good way to know. You know. And the other thing I found out was that no one was willing to say exactly how a match was.
Yeah.
You know. So.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So you get the had a great time at. It's like, well, I don't know how to shoot. Blue Ridge from your had a great time at Blue Ridge. It's like there's 10 stages in that over 3 days, and you showed 30 of your best seconds in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's
exactly.
Thanks everybody. But which is a bummer because as a community, the potential to crowdsource information like that is definitely there.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's getting a lot better. I mean, Facebook is a lot more prevalent than it was 3 years ago in terms of this kind of communication and everything else. But it's the same thing as just people are like, I can't find any matches in my area. I'm like, they're everywhere, but you have to know where to look because they're just not out there in the ether. Yeah. They're in the ether, but like if you don't know where in the deep dark recesses of Facebook or the internet to look, like it just seems like there's no shooting around you. It's all over the place.
What cracks me up is I can't find matches in my area guy. He's always from Austin,
Georgia,
Phoenix,
exactly.
Georgia, and he's always from like these
meccas,
these concentrated areas of not only like 3-gun but practical shooting in general. And just either does not want to or has not put in the time and effort to discover it. It's it's like there's no good places to rock climb near me. Yeah. Really? Like, where would you find anything about rock climbing? I don't know. The internet, the library, you know, outdoor or outside magazine. Like, there's like 1,000 places. And granted, it's a lot smaller with practical shooting. But, dude, just start knocking down ranges in your area. Yeah. Call the closest range to you. Hey, do you guys have a practical shooting program?
Nope. Who might?
Nope. Who might? Yeah. That is the follow-up question that you ask.
Exactly.
Who might? Yep. Well, these people over here, they do an IDPA match. Call them up.
And, I mean, Google's pretty good. Like 3-gun, Utah. Yeah. And you're going to, it's a pretty good place to start, but somehow people don't do that.
Exactly. I hate to recommend Google because they actively try to suppress a lot of things. Yeah. So you can't really fault a person for not being able to find something in Google that's actively suppressed. Yeah. But, and not in the good way. Yeah. But, yeah. So, but there are
for sure
there are definitely ways to do that. Okay, so we've talked about you're packing up stuff. You've shipped your ammo. We've looked at all the film footage going in. What's it like? Drive here. What are you doing on the drive here?
So, well, a little bit before the match, you usually get the match booklet. The online PDF, whatever. I will read the rule set front to back. Every single match I go to, unless it is a UML match with a set UML rule set or a 3-gun nation match with a set 3-gun nation rule.
Or USPSA.
Or whatever it is. If I know the rule set, and I know that I know the rule set because it's the same every single time, then I'm good. But, for example, here, you can't run a D60 in TAC. So we have some TAC open shooters and some limited open shooters. Yeah. We ran a D60 on the rifle stage.
Oops.
So you want to know all the stuff in the rule set. You want to know what the penalties are on certain types of target. Like what is an FTN, what is a failure to engage, what's a no-shoot hit, because sometimes that stuff can come into your stage planning. Like how aggressive do I want to be here? Or do I want to put 5 birds in the air all at the same time? Yeah. Which the answer is always no. But
a good example is UML Expedition. right? Expedition multi-gun, the penalties are a lot lower. So go fast, take chances.
Yeah, like I mean, the first ever 3-Gun Nation regional series that I shot, I'd just come off of shooting a whole bunch of natural terrain matches where the name of the game is shoot clean. If you just straight up shoot a clean match, you're going to do really well. So I go to that match. I was the only person in the top 90 to shoot a clean match at the Western Regional a couple of years ago. I'm like, I am clearly not shooting aggressive enough. Like, not by a long shot. So that was a real big eye-opener to, like, my first Bay Stage fast hosey match. And, I just got massacred because it was like, shoot a clean match, shoot a clean match. I'm like, no, that's not the game here. So, but also you'll get the match booklet, which is really good for, round count, how much stuff to bring. When I'm driving to a match, I literally bring ammo can of 5.56, ammo can of 9mm.
Same
like,
here.
And at least a case of shotgun and a bunch of slugs, maybe a box of buck just in case there's some weird stuff or whatever. But like I have enough match for my entire squad to shoot this match. Enough ammo. Because there's no reason to run out of ammo if you're driving to a match. None whatsoever.
The only problem I've run into is when I'm traveling with someone else and I don't want to take up a ton of room in someone's car.
It doesn't take up that much space.
I know, but I have like that mental block of like I don't want to impose because this is his pickup truck and not mine. It's like we're going to the same place.
Yeah,
we're going to the same place. Just bring all the ammo.
Yeah, no. I mean, like, Eric and I travel to matches together all the time, and that poor little Tacoma is just floor to ceiling. And of course, he's got like 2 backpacks full of camera gear and everything else, and drone, and he just goes nuts with it. But yeah, so like. No, you couldn't put a golf ball in there, and I wouldn't care because I'm like, if I need something, it's in this truck somewhere. I got a couple shooting mats, got some knee pads, I got like whatever you could possibly need is in the back of this truck. But also with the match booklet, a lot of people go really crazy. They get the diagrams. They'll start like stage planning from diagrams.
Dude,
I take like just a cursory glance at the diagram and be like, yeah, looks like a base stage, and that's it. Like, all I need to know from that.
I'll look for, like, funky targets in there.
Yeah. Like, there's a drawing of a target I haven't seen or something.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take a good hard look at that. But, yeah, man, do not plan your stage frame diagram because they are never like that on the ground. And you're trying to represent, best case scenario, a 20-yard by 20-yard bay on an 11 by 14 sheet of paper or 8.5 by 11 or whatever. And it's never the same on the ground. Sometimes targets aren't there. Sometimes they just straight up ran out of targets.
Or the ROs took forever to shoot it, so they pulled 3 targets. Or all kinds of things.
Exactly.
Someone was timing out. So
if you come up with a stage plan with that, then you're going to have to unplan that stage plan from you. You got to unlearn that and then learn something else, which is a pretty hard thing to do, as we all know.
So how much, like, if you had to like put a time on it, how much time are you spending on like one stage that's in that match book?
Looking at the match book? From the diagram, about 5 seconds.
Okay.
I just glance at them like, yep, base stage.
You read the stage briefs and see what guns and what condition and things like that?
So that is the important page. Diagram, I could care less if there's even a diagram. The important page is the stage brief. And I'm not also planning on that either, but I want to know things like there's some slugs on this stage or some whatever, and I'll make some kind of little one thing that I've started doing at really big, complicated matches, like Hard as Hell or Iron Man, #BreakBack Iron Man.
Did you know that there's a change.org?
I did, because I signed the petition and I sent it to like 20 friends. Yes.
Everybody go to change.org, search Iron Man.
Sign the petition, you guys.
Sign the petition to bring back Iron Man. If we get enough signatures, the president has to look at it. Isn't that how change.org works?
That's how that works, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So no, that's whitehouse.gov.
That's whitehouse.gov.
Okay,
I feel like we need a whitehouse.gov petition. On really big, we're kind of skipping ahead a little bit here, but like once I get to the match and I'm walking stages, on really big, complicated stuff, I'll start making cliff notes like, if I have a staggered loaded magazine, what choke am I going to run in my shotgun? Do I need a sling on this stage? So when I'm done shooting a stage and I'm getting ready for the next stage, I can pull out this little like 3x5 card out of my bag. It's like, next stage, cylinder choke. I need a 45-round mag and a 30-round mag on the belt and blah, blah, blah. For smaller, simpler like UML matches, I don't do that kind of thing because like cylinder choke on everything, 45-round mag for everything unless there's 12 targets. And But for like this thing here, it had, one stage where there was 3 targets out to about 200, and I want to shoot those with heavies because they're flashers. I want to make sure they flash. And so I counted out the paper in the plate rack before that and put some heavies, down in my mag. And then I have these big, like, rubbery. Well, they're not rubber bands because rubber bands are rubbery. They're like latex rubber bands. They're like really durable. And I have those, and I wrap those around my mag. So if you see my match footage and I got a big old band around there, it means somewhere in that mag is some heavies.
Oh, okay.
And so that's how I distinguish that from my other mags. So
like
the 45 with the big rubber band around it that has some heavies in it somewhere. So
interesting.
Yeah,
I do that too. Like I've got several mags that are different. Some have like so my last name's Hartman. You can do that with hieroglyphics, like a little heart and a little man.
Yeah.
So I've got mags that have that. I've got mags that have 3-gun show laser etched on it, and so I just choose which ones are.
Yeah, the 3-gun shows mags have the hoser stuff, and the Hartman mags have the perfect.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I roll it too. The problem I come into is some of these stages. So I was in patrol and I was required to use 30-round magazines, right? So it's obviously easier to do a couple than just go swamp to change it in there. But I've got 60 rounds of hoser loaded, or 30 in one mag, and 28 in the other because I just got done with the stage. And now we're shooting long range. Don't want to use my coupled when I go prone. And so
now you got to
strip a second coupler.
Yeah, the second coupler is key.
Or a screwdriver.
Yeah. Oh, quick little tip, you guys. If you have mag pull 20-round mags, you cannot put a mag pull coupler on them and put them in the gun. But you can hacksaw them in half and then do it. Yeah.
Hacksaw them in half.
So if it has like the top part and the bottom part, put it sideways and cut it in half so you have only the bottom or only the top. Then you can use that coupler for 20-round mags. And you get 2 couplers.
Oh,
yeah,
bonus.
Look at that. But, yeah, my buddy
Balling
Aaron.
on a budget here.
Oh, man, yeah, my poor buddy Aaron got a little chewed up at Hard as Hell last year where you could only have 20 rounds in a mag, but you could have couplers. So instead of just downloading his 30, he coupled his 20s together. And then when he went to put them in the gun, it was a run with your gun empty, and you went to put them in the gun, and they wouldn't go in there. And it was you can only have X amount of round stage. It was the only stage in the entire match where somebody cannot run you ammo. And he beat that thing into submission until they fit. Oh,
you're kidding.
Oh, my God. It was a little bit – it was hard to watch.
Sounds kind of fun, actually.
Yeah. Well, his rifle might not have shot all that straight on the long-range stage, which was next. So that little mistake – and so this is part of that whole, big-picture match management, doing your homework thing, right? That little mistake – cost him probably 10 places in the match. I mean, he was shooting a fantastic match and then ended up eating God knows how many, how much time and penalties on the long range stage, which is next, because he just used his rifle as a sledgehammer to, put this thing in there, and his rifle didn't shoot straight and he couldn't hit any long range stuff. So,
okay, then maybe that was a bad choice.
Yeah. I mean, it cost him a lot for sure. So that's one of those little things that you can, a little bit of, pre-match or even at the match, just kind of thinking about this stuff if I'm going to put these things together, I should make sure they fit in my gun.
Yeah, no kidding.
So,
yeah, that's a good point too. And one of the things I always see is people measuring obstacles to see if they can fit their gun with a mag under there.
The angle measure, yeah.
Yeah, so they're we have to shoot through a hoop, or we have to shoot under a wall or something like that. Well, how tall is my gun with a 30 round mag? You should know that.
Yeah.
You should know that before the match.
Yeah.
I see so many people looking at an obstacle and or a barricade and using something like a water bottle to measure it. Okay, so it's a water bottle and 1/2 of a Bic pen, And so I'm going to go back to the hotel tonight, and I'm going to put my 40-round mags in there
next
and
to a water
see
bottle
if they're lower than a water bottle and a Bic pen.
That's fantastic.
You should know that beforehand.
Yeah.
And get a notebook
something,
that's the same size, or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we do stuff like bass backwards.
I
never thought about how high my rifle is. Really, you shoot that all the time.
Yeah.
Shoot that in practice. You shoot that in matches, and I'm by no means saying that I'm above that, because I did it too. That's where I got the water bottle and the 1/2 a Bic pen from. But it's definitely something that I see a lot. So that kind of prior proper preparation prevents piss poor performance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So when you get to the match, like I said, I like to get there at least a half day early. I am a very be there early and take your time guy.
Yeah, me too.
My wife and I are terrible. We're when someone's like, "Hey, dude, we're having a party. We're going to start at 6." We're there at 6:01, and there's nobody at the party, and we have to purposely be fashionably late. We're like, we're going to be late. We're like, no, it's cool. Like, we're those people. So it's kind of
okay, I'm not that person.
Yeah, no. So I'm terrible about it. But anyway, so I'll show up well early, so I have plenty of time to walk stages. If there's absolutely anything that indicates that I might not be able to walk all the stages, then I will prioritize the stages that I'm going to shoot the next morning. So usually what I'll do is I'll walk.
I'm sorry, I want to interrupt you with something there. I would encourage people to walk them in the priority of what you're starting or backwards, because most people will go 1 through 8.
Yeah.
So that's where the Charlie Foxtrot is
exactly.
the entire time you're walking stages.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I do if I have all the time is I will walk them in the reverse order that I'm going to shoot them. So the last stage that I walk is the same as the first stage that I shoot. So it's fresh in my head, right?
And that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And so that's what I do if I have all the time in the world. If I don't have all the time in the world, I'm going to walk those stages first, and then I'm going to start from the back, and I'm going to work my way back to it. But I try to walk all the stages. And so the stage walking is a place where a lot of people lose a lot of time, and because they don't have a system. I know you knew that was coming.
I know.
So you need
I want to interrupt
system.
again.
Go ahead, send it.
What do you do about the reunion that happens during walkthroughs?
I'm pretty good about.
Do we need to explain that one, or do you think people understand what we're talking about?
I mean, you can send it if you want. I think people probably understand, but I feel like it needs a brief interlude.
Okay, so Adam, when was the last time you and I saw each other?
Missouri.
Pro-Am? Oh, it was
Generation 3 gun.
Yeah, it was Generation 3 gun.
Yep.
September last year.
Yep.
So we see each other, and it's like,
bro, what's up?
You want to catch up a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
But you multiply that times 100 people at the match. You know, after you've been shooting a bunch of matches, you start to see the same people. You're like, there's Doug Stelzer. There's all these people from all over the country that I haven't seen, and like they weren't at the last match I was at because that was in Texas. But this is a match that's within driving distance of South Dakota, so now he's here. That kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, you just have to prioritize, and that's part of that very first show that we did. One of the things is like you need to decide what level your participation is going to be at, right? And so like for me, it is. I want to compete at a high level. I also understand that climbing is the priority of my life, and I'm not going to be beating Daniel Horner. Like, ain't happening. But I have that level, and at the level of participation that I want to be at, it requires good stage walks. So it's like, dude, Dave, really good to see you, man. I will catch up with you. I got to make sure I get all my stages done, and like after my stages are done, I'm good to go.
Right.
And then at the same time, like you need to be respectful of other people too. So I do like the drive-by fist bump.
Yeah.
Where I'll be like, hey, dude, good to see you. And like if they want to talk and they want to initiate that, like assuming I'm done, I got nothing else to do, then that's cool. But I'm not going to make them feel like they need to talk to me if they're walking their stages. Yeah. So. Yeah, so that's a really good interlude because that can chew up like an hour,
dude,
per stage.
It does.
I mean, I've had it's bad. So. So when you get to the stage, that's where the stage brief starts coming in. Once again, just don't even look at the picture unless you're like trying to find a target or something. But the things that I want to know for the stage brief are what guns am I using, what ammo am I using in those guns if you have to use slugs or something. What is the starting position of each of those firearms? I don't really care about my own personal start, low, ready, port arms, whatever. Don't really care. And then I want to count the targets that I have to shoot and go physically find each and every single one of those targets so I know where they're at. That is the first thing that I do on every single stage, except for somehow stage 6, where there was 3 clays on that swinger instead of 2, and I was making up a new stage plan while I was making ready, which went pretty well. I was actually kind of amazed. So like the time that really, really drove that home was Ironman or Hard as Hell last year, and like 3/4 of the squad were my students, and I told them all this, right? And so the stages there are so long, and I'm in a whole nother bay separate from where the end of this thing's going. So I'm kind of like walking through pantomiming this kind of complicated shotgun thing, and the shooting area goes about 15 feet past where I'm going because I like found this spot between these 2 walls where I can shoot this last popper and save that 15 feet. I'm like, God, I'm so smart. and so like I do this and I get out to the end and I pantomime like shooting that, dumping the shotgun and my buddy who was one of my students in the class like a week before is like, where are you shooting the mini popper from? I was like, the what now? And he's like, yeah, there's a mini popper behind that big popper, but I never walked around the back. I never counted the targets.
Oh, yeah.
I just walked to the shooting area and counted. So now I'm like, on deck, there's another target that I got to shoot. That target doesn't fit my load plan because I was shooting a 0. And I have to make a big move that I wasn't planning on. So you don't want to be there because that always hurts your match performance. Like, even if you kind of pull it off, it won't be as good as it would have been if you just knew where that thing was ahead of time. So that's what I do. So I find everything that I have to shoot, then I figure out where I have to shoot it from. So there are some positions in a stage that you have to go to, and there's some positions that are kind of optional. And sometimes those optional positions are good options, sometimes they're bad options, but you figure out where you have to go with each of your guns, and then you figure out the path through the stage that gets you to all those places with the least amount of steps, is usually the way that I kind of think about it.
You know, one thing that I found, this is, what was Tom Bush on? Was he on 6 or was he on 7?
I don't recall.
No, he was on, I don't know. But anyway, his stage here, at, sorry, that's an inside thing for us. Sorry, audience. But so his stage, if you went all the way to the front, there was a clay hiding behind a wall.
Yeah, that's six.
That's 6, okay.
Yep.
Or if you take 3 steps back from the draw barrel on the shotgun, you can see that same clay.
And you save yourself a lot of running.
Save yourself a lot of running.
So that's the thing.
And a whole position on the shotgun. You don't have to go to that entire side. So one thing that I've noticed is that there's several places you can see a single target from. So if a target appears to be like obscured or hidden, don't just find that target from the shooting area and say, okay, I got to hit it from here. Yeah. Like, walk around and look at
and especially if it's something like that where it's this target all out by itself. If I got to take 15 steps to get to something, I'm going to look hard to see if I can shoot it from somewhere else. Yeah. Right. So yeah, that's a perfectly good example. And so you figure out your path through the stage, and then it always surprises people, but the last thing that I do is figure out where the reloads go. Because I'm basically like, I'm shooting through with the rifle, how many shots to take, shooting with the pistol. I figure out if I have to do a reload, and then I figure out the most, the most advantageous place to put that reload so it doesn't cost me time. With the shotgun, the way that I plan the reloads is I count backwards. Yeah. So I start, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 on the clays, 3, 2, load 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 9, 8. And I do it that way, and I figure out where I can put those reloads. So I try not to get, if I can always have it where I have like 2 rounds in the gun, that's really nice because I'm not running it all the way to 0. At the same time, ideally, I want to end with 1 or no rounds in the gun. I don't want to load any more rounds than I absolutely have to. I want to shoot 1 for 1 on the shotgun and get all the rounds in the gun every time I'm loading the thing. That's the ideal, right?
The worst is when you're like unloading a handful of shells to the
auto. You see the guy, you're just like, there's like half of a box coming out of your gun, and you're just like,
did I forget to shoot some targets?
So 2.5 seconds per quad load times 3 quad loads in the gun. So that was 2, 4, 6. There's about 9 seconds of absolutely worthless effort in the shotgun right now.
Might as well just stood in the same place for 9 seconds.
Exactly. So what I'll do is I'll count backwards. I'll figure out where to put those loads. And then once I have it figured out where to put those loads, I take all the math out of my stage program, and then I just think load 4 here, load 8 there. Yeah. I don't want to be counting while I'm shooting. No. But one thing I do put
I can't count while I shoot.
No, it's absolutely insane.
I just know, like, after that array, I toss a quad. After that array, I toss 6.
Exactly. And so
6 is a patrol thing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And so the thing is, if one thing I do kind of put in the back of my head is how many rounds are going to be in the gun at the lowest point in the stage. So like for me on stage 1 on the shotgun stage, at the lowest point, if everything went to plan, I was going to have 2 rounds in the gun, which means I have 2 makeup rounds anywhere that doesn't require me to load any more rounds. So if I miss one, I don't have to shove extra rounds in the gun at the next load. I can just keep shooting because I know I have a buffer of 2, right? So I just kind of put that in the back of my head is like, this is good information to have if things kind of start going squirrely a little bit, right?
I like that one a lot. And obviously that works a lot better when you have like a 12-round tube. Because
you got a little more leeway for that
to play with,
Yeah, for patrol that's a little tougher.
That was rough, dude. Yeah. There was a couple times there was one time where I was supposed to load 6, but I picked up 2 quads, and so ended up like pumping with 2 rounds in my hand instead of like just drop them.
Just drop them on the ground.
Just drop them,
plenty of extra stuff.
You brought extras.
Yeah. And so I'll do that, and then I'll come up with – I pretty much come up with like a 99% stage plan. It's like, this is my stage plan. I'm going to drill it in, but I understand that tomorrow morning maybe the wind blew over a bunch of targets, and maybe something changed, like, or maybe something like Bob and I were walking stages, and we walked up to our first stage, and we're shooting with Mark, and he's like, that clay thing, exactly the one you pointed out. Me and Bob both didn't see that.
Oh,
somehow.
really?
And so he goes, dude, why don't you just shoot it from there? And I'm like, and it was enough of a better stage plan that I was like, we're fixing that right now.
Yeah.
And so when you have to change your stage plan at the last minute, which is a thing that at some point is going to happen, and everyone's like, do not change your stage plan under any circumstances. I will say, almost never change your stage plan, but sometimes you're going to have to, because there's another target that I didn't see. That has to get shot. It's got to go in the stage plan. Or
there's something that eliminates an entire position.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that was enough of a change that I was like, all right, this is worth it. And so it's really like people have their stage plan, and you have to derail your stage plan at that point. And so the way I think about it is like, if you had that commute to work that's exactly the same every single day, and then one day you got to drive to something that's like halfway to work, but you turn and you just like blow past that turn. You drive like 3/4 away to work, and you're just kind of on autopilot. And oh shit, I'm driving to work, and that was like 5 exits ago, right?
Dude, I've done that.
You need to just
so many times.
Yeah, everybody's done that. Like you need to drive in that exit. So what I did for that is now when I have during the 5-minute walkthrough, the only part of that stage I ran for that entire 5 minutes was pick up the shotgun, take 3 steps back, popper, clay, turn to the left, shoot that clay. Because it moved my reload, it moved my movement. It changed a lot of stuff. And so I just drove that part until I got back onto my original stage plan, just over and over and over and over and over until that was the stage plan. So, yep. And then so what I do, I'll walk my stages, and like I said, I try to end with the stages I'm shooting the next morning so they're fresh in my head. I'll film them if they're complicated at all, and I usually don't go back to film. But sometimes I'm just sitting in the hotel and I can't remember what I was going to do, but I'll just walk through the stage and I'll hold it up first person style, shoot those plates, and
I'll tell you one thing that really helps for me, especially on open terrain, which I'm not really good at, because this match here in Colorado is kind of the flavor of what we normally shoot, right?
Yeah.
Is fast base stuff, because we don't have like a lot of open places. On open terrain, I'll make diagrams and I'll write down like every target. I'll draw poppers, I'll draw toasters and kickers and shit. And
are you a good artist, or are these
like
straight stick figures?
No, they're straight stick figures. I might have to cut this out, but my poppers kind of look like dicks a little bit. And I'm not trying to. It's just like, oh, that one didn't come out right. I swear I've seen a popper before. But they're bad. Where my if we've got like 4x10 knockdown targets, they end up looking like squares. They're not great, but it's a good representation of things that I have to shoot.
It's the stage diagram as Dave sees it.
As Dave sees
right?
it, yeah, exactly. And then as Dave could never, ever show that to anyone else because they wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so I don't look back at those very much unless there's distance calls that I need to know for holds and everything. But the act of writing it down helps me memorize it.
Oh, totally.
So I guess that's a kinesthetic learner, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that helps me solidify it in my head of writing it down. So it's like you were talking about with the video of like the video helps if you need to go back to it, but if you don't use it, then you still did it, and it's still the act of doing it.
It's still the act of doing it.
And a lot of people talk to their phones, so then now you're explaining your stage plan.
Yeah.
And so that also solidifies it in your head.
Yeah, for sure. And so the way that the stage planning, and we're kind of jumping back and forth a little bit, but the visualization is a really unique thing. Everybody kind of does it a little bit different, but it's if you've ever watched, I watched a really interesting documentary on airplane acrobatic, like air show stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And people do the same thing, like the way we air gun stuff. Climbers stand at the base of a cliff, and we kind of like air climb. If you ever seen like Lindsey Vonn in the start gate with her eyes closed going back and forth, she's visualizing the stage. And air people stand next to their plane, and they stand up and they hold up their hands and they turn around like that. Like,
oh, you're kidding?
No, yeah, totally a thing. I saw it and I was like, oh yeah, that's brilliant. Well, and because it's such this weird 3-dimensional thing that they have to like physically kind of turn around to like figure out, where they're going to be at. So
yeah. So when you bring up rock climbing, like that's a real thing. Like I go to the Real Rock Festival every year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is amazing. Even if you're not into rock climbing, it's
fantastic.
They're fan-freaking-tastic.
Did you see Stumped?
No, which one was that?
Oh, my God. You can buy it online. Just
okay.
Google Stumped and Safety Third. Stumped is about this girl with one arm trying to climb 512.
Oh.
And it is the funniest video I've ever seen in my life.
I saw the preview for that. I haven't seen it
It's
yet.
amazing.
Okay.
It's available online. You can download it for like $5 or something.
By the way, there's a shooter here, a local guy that's done a lot of filming for Real Rock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll have to introduce you to him.
Oh, cool. Right on.
Anyhow, well, sorry, side note there, but
sorry, audience.
no, this is part of it. Watching Real Rock is how I came up, because I don't know a lot of rock climbers. I've done some like top roping and stuff, but I don't know a lot of rock climbers, and I guess I got called a Gumby. I think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so
Okay.
watching that, I want to say it was like Chris Sharma. Is that right?
Yep.
I want to say it was him that was doing the pantomime of the holds.
Oh, yeah.
With his hands, and
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like he's doing Tai Chi if he wasn't,
for
if
sure.
he didn't have a context.
Well, like
but
really
it's
hard
exactly
sport.
what we're doing.
It's exactly what we're doing. Like really hard sport climbing where you're projecting something is exactly like three gun. Like the parallels are right there. It's across the board. So a lot of the same stuff goes into it. But so the way that I'll do it, I'll walk the stage a few times because I'm looking for stage markers, visual indicators, things like that. How I want this to look for me visually. And then when I start programming the stage, I'll close my eyes and I'll kind of tune out. And if it's in the hotel room or wherever, like I'll just kind of go sit by myself. And what I want to see is the entire stage in the first person, not like video of Adam running around shooting the stage. I want to see the stage through my eyes. I want to see the sight picture that I'm going to use on all the targets. So on the close hosey stuff, I'm seeing just red in front of the brown and pop, and I'm visualizing shooting fast splits. And on the little, the red, white, and blue stage, I'm visualizing, fast, kind of soft sight pictures across most of that stuff. And I'm visualizing a good equal height, equal light, real deal sight picture, and a good straight to the rear trigger press on that activator that's between the other two, because I don't want to eat that 5 seconds. Like all those little minute changes. I'm seeing my port when I'm quad loading. One of the things I do is I'll write down my holds for the long range stuff, and then I'll think about what that hold looks like in my reticle, and I'll visualize that portion of my reticle on the target and go from there. So I want as much of a real world visual representation of it as I can get, and I try to have it happen as close to real time as I can. Like I'm not going to go like, I'm going to shoot the plate rack, tink, 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 tink. Like with the rifle at 50, like I don't shoot 50-yard rifle plate racks like that. Right. I go pop, 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 and I'm visualizing a perfect run, but I'm visualizing a realistic, this is how Adam's going to shoot it, perfect run. I'm not visualizing the Daniel Horner run, right? So that's really, because you want it to be as close to the real experience that you're going to have as possible. And if you can do it enough times well enough, you can actually trick your brain into thinking that you've already done it. Like think about if you have a drill, like you're shooting some bill drills or some L-Prezes or whatever the heck, your 10th run is always better than your first run. Well, if you can trick yourself into thinking that you're on your 10th run, then that 10th run or that first run is going to be as good as that 10th run. So what I strive for is 5 perfect, no messing up at all, start to finish visualizations of Adam's perfect run at the speed that Adam's going to shoot it at. That's what I strive for. I feel like if I can get from 5 front to back with no messing up in it at all, then that is locked in there.
This is the night before. This is after.
This is stuff. So this is the night before, back in the hotel room, and then I do the same 5 before I shoot the stage. Like when I'm on deck, I'm just standing there looking like the ROs are always like, "Oh man, thanks for having your guns ready," and I'm like, I've been standing here with my guns for like 15 minutes because I'm just staring at the ground with my eyes closed, running through the stage plan over and over and over and over and over, and that's the only thing in my brain. So night before, drive back to the hotel, get back there. The first thing that I'll do when I get back to the hotel is I'll get all my mags and everything loaded up. I want to show up at the range with loaded mags. Everything's ready.
That is huge.
I usually have enough rifle mags that I can load individual rifle mags for all the stages I'm going to do. So the only thing I'm actually reloading between stages is my pistol mags.
Mm-hmm.
I really like to try to do that if I can, because I don't want to Blue Falcon my friends and not be resetting, but like at some point you got to reload your stuff. So that's what I try to do.
The rifle mag thing, that's kind of difficult because we have so many unique mags for different situations. Like, and save for this match here, like I'll use the D60 all the time because I can.
Yep. And that's fine. Like if that's your system, cool. But just know, like, show up with that thing loaded. And then know that that's going to be part of your post-stage thing is to reload that. But so I'll go home, I'll load that stuff up. Part of that like day before thing is figuring out how long does it take to get from my Airbnb to the range.
Oh yeah.
Is there breakfast on the way? Like all of that morning stuff. Like I want to be on the range, like pulling in, gearing up, ready to go at least a half hour before I have to be there because shit happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I was here early enough this morning that I fell asleep on one of the rifle tables on stage 2 because there was like nobody around. And I was like, well, I got my stage walking done and I'm just going to. So what I'll do up is I'll show up in the morning, go back to the night before. So I get all my mags loaded up. I get all my stuff situated. I know like this, these are going in the cart. These are staying here. If I need knee pads I got to, go to a double kneeling position and some gravel or something the next day, I'll make sure those are in my range bag. I kind of go through all these stages. I'm like, what is all the gear I need for all these stages? Make sure all that's in my range bag. And I usually take anything that I don't need and just take it out so I don't have like a million things in my cart and it's not just a mess. I'll take whatever stage I'm starting on. I'll make sure that the choke that I need for that stage is already in my shotgun. Like if I need to sling on my rifle, I'll just put it on my rifle. I'll check, make sure my dot's still working, like all of that.
Okay.
So I just do a pre-check. It doesn't really take that long. I'm talking like 15, 20 minutes putting your stuff together. It can save you a bunch of hassle in the morning.
Yeah, and it's 15, 20 minutes low pressure the night before. But if you're rushing to stuff a mag.
If they're like, Adam, you're on deck and you're putting bullets in a mag, that stage, just like take 20% out of whatever your stage finish is going to be. Just
that's
automatically.
Unnecessary pressure put on you. Yeah,
exactly.
That you could have solved.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to be as prepared as I can.
Prevented.
Yeah, prevented. Yeah, preventative maintenance. Exactly what it is. So then the morning of, you get up nice and early, try to get some sleep. I'm kind of an insomniac, so I don't really sleep very well anyways. But I try not to really party and get all crazy, and this goes back to that, like, how serious do you take it if, it's a social thing, like, whatever, shooting with a hangover. If you don't care how you do, fine. There's, like, this whole thing doesn't apply to you if you don't care what you're
probably not listening to the show.
You're probably not listening to this show, and if you're listening to this one, you've already turned it off a long time ago, so we're not talking to those
Don't
guys,
ever say that on the podcast.
Come
on, man.
All right, anyways, no, I'm saying, like, if you're one of those guys that doesn't care how they do, they did not make it to minute whatever.
Okay.
Listening about match prep.
Gotcha.
No, it's a great show.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the people that do care.
No,
My mistake.
No, the people who do care, I feel like can get something from this, hopefully.
Absolutely.
So then I get to the range nice and early. I get all my stuff on. I get my sunscreen on because if I don't put it on first thing in the morning, I freaking forget, and that sucks.
I did that today.
I get all my, get my iPro, get my ears. I got these really, really nice set of electronic ears from House of Hearing. I'm paranoid about leaving my pants running through the washing machine. So, as you can imagine, I have a system. I take my wedding ring off. I put it in the box with my ears, take my ears out, and put them in my pocket. So if I don't have my wedding ring on, my ears are not in the ear container.
Oh, weird,
dude. Yeah, I'm totally weird like that. So, because I had some other ears that I've run through the washing machine like a half dozen times, but electronic ones will not stand that.
My phone, I swear to God, like I can't find I've got one ear.
Yeah,
I've got one foamy. Where the hell is
the
other one?
Exactly.
So I throw that foamy away, and then I'll wash my shorts. Like, damn it, here it is. Or my dog poops it out, or something like that. Dude, you run through a lot of foamies.
You run through a lot of foamies, huh?
Yeah. I've got like the
awesome.
the big
bulk
machine
pack.
shop bulk pack.
Yeah, like $50 worth of foam ear pro.
I absolutely do. I've got it in the back of my truck. It works nice though when stuff like this where you get spectators.
Yeah.
And you
can just hand out some
You can
foamies.
see someone that you look out of place. Are you new here?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Dude, you should
Would
see
you
the
like
guys,
some ear pro? Here you go.
You should see the guys that walked down from the skeet shooting to see what was going on, and they saw a open shooter shooting a open box fed shotgun, like making ready, and they're like, oh my God, look at that shot. Like, I thought their heads were getting split. It's fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah. It was really
You
good.
can only load 2 rounds when you shoot trap, though.
Oh, yeah. No, they were just like, Jesus, how many rounds was that mag? I was like, I don't know. I think Mark said it has like 21 or something. He's like, oh, my. It was awesome. So anyway, show up, get all my stuff ready. I'll usually just drag my cart full of stuff to the first stage. I used to be all manly and carry my stuff, and now I'm all beat up from all alpine climbing and don't do that anymore, so I got a cart. And so I drag my cart to the stage I'm going to shoot first, and then I walk to the stage that I'm going to shoot last that day, and I re-walk those stages in reverse order just to like get that fresh back in my head again, finishing up once again on the stage where I'm going to shoot. And then I'm there. I'm ready to go.
What if you're shooting a PM and there's people on the stage? Do you just sit there and observe?
Yeah, then I'll just observe.
Okay.
Yep. And usually when there's an AM PM, there's a lunch break. But
Right.
I won't generally walk all 4 during the lunch break. I'll walk maybe like the first 2 or something like that. But yeah, I'll just observe. And a lot of it's just kind of like being on the range, getting used to being, hot and dusty or humid or whatever your environment is like. Just kind of like getting your body used to that. Because if you just get out of the car from a nice air-conditioned thing and all of a sudden it's 115 degrees, like it's kind of hard to just adjust. So
yeah, there's something to be said for getting your conditions down. I remember the first time I went to Rock Castle to shoot, I stepped out of my air-conditioned truck and like immediately started sweating. I was like, oh God, this is not right.
Oh, dude, dude, that place about killed me. I can't do the humidity thing.
Yeah, we come from arid
Pretty dry.
environments.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's
when you have to chew the air a little bit, like I'm out.
yeah, exactly.
That's not my thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'll do that, and then I'll get to that stage, and then business as usual, right? They'll come up, they'll read off the stage brief, and for God's sakes, pay attention when they read the stage brief, because bare minimum, it's just straight up rude not to, and maybe something changed.
Yeah.
Like maybe a target blew over, maybe something.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a bunch of people have been getting DQs for some 180 call that you weren't, that you didn't think about. Like pay attention to that. Like if you ever see me listen to stage brief, I'm usually staring at the ground, and all of my attention is focused on what the RO is saying. Like, I want to hear every single word of that.
One thing I'll also add, because there's people that go around like air gunning when the stage brief is happening, and they're usually the ones that are like, well, what was that part?
Wait, I didn't hear that. Well, yeah, you weren't standing here.
If you're at a stage during a stage brief and you're not shooting, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, keep your mouth shut. Like, let that happen. That is those people's time to hear everything that they need to be. Like, don't be talking to someone else. Don't be talking to anyone, because even if you're talking quiet, a lot of people have electronic ears, and that can...
It picks it up.
Yeah, that picks it up, and it can distort it, and they won't be able to hear what the RO says. So be polite to your fellow shooters.
For sure. And then another thing with the stage brief, sometimes on the long range, they'll give you distances. I run by with the trust but verify, so I will laze everything. And this is the day before. Like when I walk the long range stages the day before, I laze all the stuff to make sure I have those distances down, because sometimes you're like, oh yeah, this one's about 230 and this one's about 340. And then you're like,
After my first hard as hell, I don't do trust at all.
No.
It's only verify.
Oh yeah, only verify. Yep.
Because that 620-yard target was not.
No, it's 640 yards.
It was.
Yeah.
And
those
20 yards is a big
20 yards
difference.
is a big difference at 600 yards with the 223. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so I listen to that 5-minute walkthrough. What I'm doing then depends where I'm at in the shooting order. Obviously, if you're down in the shooting order, you're resetting and everything. Little pro tip for everybody. Nobody really cares how good you do, but they care if you reset.
Yeah.
Okay. Reset.
Yep.
Hard. Like, that's your job. Reset hard until it's not, and then focus on the shooting, and then go back to the resetting.
You can also have fun while resetting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's your time to, like,
joke
around,
like chase people down to the target and jump in front of somebody and tape the hole they were going to tape. And, like, yeah, I mean, that's, like, it's, some people act like it's really a chore, but it's just part of the thing. Just go have fun. But, yeah, like, take that part seriously. Like,
if you found a sneaky way to get out of resetting, you did not.
No.
Everyone knows you're not resetting.
Everyone knows you're not resetting.
And everyone hates you.
Exactly. Exactly. Like the whole, like, walk to the edge and tape the first target and slowly saunter off while everyone watches that. Like, no, that doesn't cut it.
Yep.
That doesn't cut it.
Go stand behind the side-by-side so no one can see you.
Exactly.
We see you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So, yeah, so that's important. Reset like you mean it. And just, it's just a good thing to do for these ROs that are volunteering time, standing out here all day long. Like, if your ROs have to tell you to reset, like, you are officially messing up bad.
Yeah, you're a bad person.
Yeah, so, like, just
screwed up.
Stay in front of that stuff, right? So, but also resetting allows you to walk around and see things like, I'll pay attention to where holes are. If usually the way it works out is people kind of end up resetting like the same little, chunks each time, because that's just sort of the way it kind of happens.
That's like human nature.
Yeah, it's just human nature. Like, oh, I'll get these things. You guys get those. That guy gets the star, like whatever. But if you're like taping, and it's not like I'm like walking around trying to look for the sneaky stuff while I'm resetting. But if I'm taping and I notice on this target, these shots are always just hugging the no shoot or some weird little thing like that, I might just kind of put that information in the back of my head when I'm kind of thinking about my stage plan, right? So then comes the time, usually when I'm in the hole is about the time I'll put mags and everything on. I strip everything off of my belt during 3-gun matches because it's so much weight to pack around.
Yep.
I will strip I'll even take the caddies off. Like, I'll strip it all the way down to nothing. If I'm going to have some time between stages, I'll take the pistol off. Like, I want as little stuff on my belt as possible. So when I'm in the hole is when I'm putting that stuff back on. And then when I'm on deck and that shooter's shooting, that's when I'm standing there, eyes closed, running that stage plan over and over and over and over and over. And I'm just waiting for that buzzer to go off. So then you shoot your stage. You're in the middle of your stage, and things go completely pear-shaped. I know this seems super foreign, and there's no way that this would ever happen in an actual 3-gun match, but sometimes things don't go as planned.
Right.
And when things don't go as planned, a lot of people, there's a few different thought processes. There's the I need to make it up thought process.
Yeah.
There's the I'm totally screwed and I'm just going to go crazy thought process. But what I try to do, and what I would recommend to most people, is to try to get back to the plan. Like I said, it's that commute to work, right? Like, if you're commuting to work and you accidentally took some exit, you're going to just like drive down the off ramp, up the on ramp, and right back onto the freeway, right? Like, that's what you want to do. You want that deviation to be as little as possible. And so, like, let's say I come into a position and I'm going to shoot a plate rack, and I just have a horrendous time at this plate rack, and I run the gun dry, and I do a reload, and I shoot one plate off of it. If my stage plan said do a reload when I exit, I'm going to do a reload, and I'm going to drop a mag that has 22 rounds in it, and I'm going to put a new mag in the gun because that's what my stage plan said. And I don't want to be thinking, well, how many shots were in that next position? Do I really need all? No, just
that's a good point.
Just put that in there. Like, you don't want to be doing. It's back to like doing math. Like, don't do math while you're shooting.
Yeah.
Just get back on your stage plan and shoot that thing. And that is, I think that is the spot where, like, kind of that mid-range shooter really struggles, where it's like when things start going wrong, and like for those guys, like, that happens at every level. I had a complete come apart on stage 8 here, or in stage 1, I guess it was, and just like threw it away, right? But there's a level to which I could still, maintain and keep it together because I could just get back on my plan, right? Like, I had a few misses on a clay. Well, when I do that next reload, I'm going to put 4 more shells in the gun to get back to the 12 shells that I was going to have in the gun that was planned, and get back on that stage plan, right? So, so then when I'm done shooting, unload, show clear, holster up. If, they got to look at anything, walk around. Don't be that jerk that's like fighting for perfect doubles and all that stuff. Just accept that, like, I shot it once and I missed the other one. And you pulled the second shot. You know you did. Everybody knows you did. Just eat your penalty. It's not that big a deal. And look at the tablet and hit the approve button. If they don't offer it to you, ask to see it.
Yeah.
I got fat fingered 5 places at MGM once because somebody put a 9 instead of a 1.
Dude,
Mm-hmm.
And here's a problem I have. So if I have like a hard time on a stage, I'm like,
you just whatever, hit the button. Yeah, for sure.
But you need to go see the FTN. You need to go make sure that you're getting the proper 5-second penalty applied, and also instead of a FTE or something.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like it can get a lot worse. Like, did they know that you even shot at it?
Yeah.
Like, no, I shot at that thing.
These are honest mistakes too.
It's not like the art. Yeah, exactly.
No, there's nothing punitive about it or nefarious, but it's just points out, like, you got to pay attention.
No, well, I mean, I remember Cedar Valley a couple years ago, I walk up and I look at the tablet, and there's a 60-second failure to spin penalty on a stage that didn't have a spinner. I'm like, I don't feel like I deserve that. Well, and also, look at the name on the top and make sure that name is your name.
Oh, I never thought of that.
I've totally gotten my score attached to somebody else's name and gotten our names backwards. And it's like,
weird.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes it can be great. I'm like, Daniel Jurassic. Yep. That's sure. You bet. I'll take it. But yeah, make sure that name is your name. So like you said, the stage that you wreck, this is where we get into the 5-minute rule. You've been a TPC, so you know what the 5-minute rule is.
By the way, if you observe, this goes both ways.
This goes both ways.
Someone wrecking a stage, give them a 5-minute rule.
Give them 5 minutes. Yeah. Exactly. And so, so basically the 5-minute rule, for those who don't know it, is you have 5 minutes to, with restraint, kind of throw a little fit in your head. Don't go back and throw stuff around and cuss and everything else. But like, stand in the corner. If you can do
it away from the squad, that is the time to do it.
Exactly.
Like, go back to your truck, go back to the rental vehicle, maybe,
exactly.
You know,
little under the breath cussing or something like that. You know, you want to keep it to that. You don't want to have a full-on come apart in front of everybody. Like that will single you out way worse than even being the guy who doesn't reset. Like, that
guy doesn't reset, and he said an F-bomb in front of that junior shooter.
Exactly. So like, you know, whatever you need. And the same thing applies to if you do it really, really well, right? If you just burn down that stage, take 5 minutes, feel good about yourself, and then get your head back in it. Because you don't want to go into that next stage like, I'm the best shooter ever, and just go totally crazy and, you know, end up eating a bunch of penalties. But you do need
that 5 minutes to
get back to normal.
To appreciate your performance that you just did and burn that into your head like, this is me. This is the performance that I'm capable of. Yep. You know, good job. Let's go do it again.
Exactly. So that 5 minutes is a really important check of time. If it goes bad enough, that 5 minutes will be me. I'll just be like, hey guys, I'm going to be over there for a minute.
Yeah.
And it might be just kind of like standing in the corner, mumbling under my breath a little bit, whatever. But most of the time I'm just like, man, I can't believe I shot a freaking no shoot. And I'll go back and I'll start stuffing mags. So what I do immediately after I get done shooting depends on the schedule. So if it is an on-off schedule, then I won't stuff mags right after I shoot because you have that big break. But if it is like this where it's an AM/PM schedule and I'm going to go straight from one stage to the next stage, as soon as I'm done shooting, I'm going to go back and start stuffing mags for, you know, like I said, I try to have the rifle stuff all loaded up, so most of the time I'm just stuffing the pistol stuff. If I need to change choke in my shotgun for the next stage, if my dot went out and I need to change a battery, like any kind of preventative stuff, I take care of that immediately because I don't want to be going to the next stage, trying to listen to the stage brief, trying to do the walkthrough, trying to fix my guns, trying to stuff mags all at the same time. I want to take care of that immediately. At the same time, your job is still to help reset. So if I'm sitting there stuffing mags and I hear, if you are finished, I'm putting that mag down and I'm grabbing a roll of tape and I'm going out there and I'll come back and I'll stuff mags during the, you know, between the next shooter. Because you still have a whole squad worth of people, but the point is to get that stuff done and out of the way. So, yeah.
So what are you doing? So you're an athlete. Like your primary focus is rock climbing, mountain biking, etc. Those are athletic endeavors. So is 3-gun. Requires being out in the elements all day, requires hydration management, nutrition, etc. What are you doing as far as like hydration and nutrition during a 3-gun match?
So I try to bring a cooler with me if at all possible. Like the Drive 2 matches, I have a cooler with ice, and I have a grip of liquids in there. I got enough for me and at least one other person on my squad, and I try to drink as much as I possibly can. I always have something in my hand sitting out by the cart drinking whatever. And for me personally, just the way my body works really good with just like constant snacking. So like here I had some beef jerky, I had some almonds, which are awesome because they got a whole ton of calories. I had some kind of granola bar type things. I had some little brownie bar type things. I had a bag of peanut M&Ms, just like some salty stuff, some high protein stuff, some high calorie stuff. But for me personally, it's just kind of constant snacking. I never ever want to feel hungry. I never want to feel thirsty. I just want to kind of, you know, keep everything nice and me. And if you have a full day on the range, for God's sakes, at some point stop and put on some more sunscreen because you will regret that.
That is for sure.
And I bought a giant, like 3/4 of a sombrero straw hat that I took to this match.
This thing is amazing.
It is the best thing ever. It's so good. It doesn't do super good, and I finally forgot to take it off during a make ready, and and had to like fling it off. But
yeah I'm a
pretty
baseball cap guy, but I'm watching y'all roll around in your big straw caps, and I think I'm gonna have to change that because
I've been just
got
flipping to the
most burnt neck.
So that's been part of one of my a new change in my getting my gear ready. When I put my mags on, I take off the sombrero and I put on the ball cap because I hate shooting without a cap on because there's sun's in your eyes and brass and everything else. Oh, dude, Mark Siebert got a brass round down the back of his shirt.
Oh, nice.
On the tower.
But that felt amazing.
Yeah, he had to stop mid shooting
really?
and rip it out. Oh yeah, he ate 5 seconds digging that thing out for sure.
Yeah, I should have left that one.
Yep.
So okay, we talked about nutrition and hydration. If you find yourself hungry or you find yourself thirsty, what should you do? I mean, obviously the obvious thing is have water or eat. But are you hosed at that point? Are you screwed?
No,
or can you
well, I mean,
bring that back.
You're never screwed. It's just like when your stage is going to hell. Like you got to keep shooting. So it's like, well, I still got to keep shooting. So I got to keep eating. I got to keep drinking. But I mean, I'm like. It was pretty darn hot out here. I'm trying to put down like a whole Gatorade per stage. Like I want to put down a liter of water per stage. Like if I get off this range without drinking a gallon, then I'm probably behind the curve. Yeah. And I probably was even with that. So
I was pretty bad at this match.
Yeah.
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
So the water piece, it was just like I felt like I never had time to go to the cooler and grab something, but you always do,
Well, I sit on my cooler. Like, I'll take the cooler out, and I'll pull it up to wherever kind of the staging area is for making ready, and I'll sit on that, and I'll pull the thing out, and I'll drink, and I got the tape sitting next to me on the thing, and
Yeah, and I'll say the matches that do provide water or what other drinks for shooters, I drink way more than if I have to provide it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I see that. But
I ran into so yesterday we shot PM, today shot AM. So yesterday PM, had lunch before, or had a little bit of a breakfast, had lunch before we started shooting, and then last stage of the day, it's like, okay, well I'm a little bit hungry, I'm out of food, but I'll
just push through. Yeah,
I'm second on the stage, no big deal.
Yeah.
Well, and then we had like a 40-minute pause while we discussed rule sets and equity, but. That we'll get into another time.
I'm just going to say I'm very curious now, but I feel like we might not want to tangent into this because it might get kind of complicated.
Yeah, that's a whole show in and of itself. But anyway, we had a 40-minute pause, and so by that time, like when I'm making ready, it's like my stomach's like making noise and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that was a little tough. And then, but luckily I didn't have a gun that worked anyway, so it didn't matter. But
that's good. That's good. Yeah. Feel terrible and have to mortar clear your rifle like 5 times in a row.
Exactly.
Sweet.
And but it worked.
Awesome.
So yeah, that piece. Okay, so moving on with match manager, like what other things are you doing throughout the day that that help you maintain your preparedness both physically and like material wise?
Yeah.
With your
I mean
guns
that's pretty much it. Like I get done shooting, I get everything ready for the next stage, like whatever adjustments I need to make to the guns. Making sure all the mags and stuff are full. I have a spot in my bags where loaded mags go, and everywhere else is suspect. Like I never ever pull like, oh here's a mag right here. Like no, I got like the spot in my rifle bag where the rifle mags go, and then the little pistol pouch things, and I load them all up and I stuff them back in that place.
That has completely stopped me from messing up and grabbing a partial mag.
Oh yeah. And don't want to do that.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. So a lot of these shooting bags have like, little mag holders or whatever, and then they have these giant pouches.
Yep.
Giant pouches is the need to load.
Yes.
For
me.
And
Exactly.
the individual ones where the pistol goes or where the rifle goes, those are the cool.
Yeah.
Good to use.
That's exactly what I do. I mean, mine are in different bags. Like I have my range bag, and then I have like my gun bag, and the gun bag has loaded mags in it, and the range bag, anything in the range bag is considered suspect.
Nice.
Yep. So.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yep. Separation church to state, man.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. All right, so how about mental management when you're?
So that's a really tough one, and that I think is a very personal thing, and it's something that I like personally am really struggling with right now. But like the kind of the happy medium that I found is there is there's a lot of gray area between I take this super seriously and this match is all encompassing and I'm just here to have fun and I don't care about my score. Right? There's a huge gray area between those two. And as you get better and as you get put more time into the sport, you know, people are like, oh, well, I'm going to get better and I won't be nervous at the first stage. I'm like, no, that gets worse.
Yeah.
Like significant. Like the more you put into the sport, the more you expect out of yourself. And then, you know, like I've had a lot of trouble with that recently. Like I had the craziest thing ever happened, which, you know, like when you start off shooting, everyone's like, oh, no one's watching you shoot. Like, don't worry about it. And which is the truth. But I went to nationals and I had several people in my squad who were former students. And I'm like, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, right? Like, I teach this stuff. I'm sponsored by companies. Like, I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. And I'm making ready on the first stage of the first day, and I heard someone go, oh, shoot, Adam's up, quiet. And I heard the punk of all these phones coming on. And it was the first time ever when I was like, these guys really expect to see something. And it wrecked me. Like, I finished 15 places worse than any finish ever since I started shooting 3-gun at nationals.
Holy cow.
Like, it absolutely destroyed me. That pressure just and so I had a pretty good break until Cedar Valley, and then at Cedar Valley I'm trying to kind of find that happy medium. And so then I went too far on the other side where it's like, I'm just here to have fun, it's just a good time. And I had my first failure to engage literally ever, where I just straight up forgot to shoot at a target because I didn't spend that pre-stage time. Like, oh yeah, run to this window, shoot the things, run to that window, shoot the things. Like that was my visualization, and I straight up just forgot to shoot at a target, and it cost me 2 places in the match. So, and so that's the thing. So now I'm struggling personally to like find that happy middle ground. And what I have found works the best for me is I get my stuff ready. I basically have from like the time when I'm in the hole to the time when I'm done loading my mags and stuff for the next stage, that is Adam taking this seriously. Like, I'm trying to stay focused. That is, when I'm taking this seriously. All of the rest of those shooters and in between that stuff, that is Adam here having fun. So I'm setting with my friends. I'm having a good time, like giving each other a bunch of shit. And then when I'm in the hole, I try to kind of make that mental switch and get back to like, all right,
okay,
what's your stage plan? Visualize this thing 5 times, no screwing around. I know you kind of have it, but really put that thing in your head, shoot it well, get your guns ready for the next stage. Everything's set. Okay, you can go back to having fun. And it's not like shooting's not fun. I mean, I love the shooting part, but at the end of the day, I'm a very competitive person and I want to do well.
Yeah.
So but I think that's different for everybody. Like I
enjoy it much more when I do well.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like it's
like fishing.
Well,
fishing sucks when you don't catch anything.
Well, I feel like what's the saying? It either ends of the social, or either ends of it either ends of the financial spectrum. There lies a leisure class. Oh, where it's like. Yeah. Where it's like if you do super well, you're gonna have fun, but also if you're just doing so bad that you're like, the hell with it. Like somehow that's also more fun than like in the middle where you're kind of doing well, but you're kind of making these mistakes and you're like chasing points and so it's like I think it's such a personal thing. And like I was talking, Mark Ziebert's on our squad today, and I was talking to him, and we're on the last stage, and I had a terrible time on the last stage. I made a couple of really dumb mental errors, and it was one of those like end of the match. I'm trying to stay focused, but I didn't, and threw away what will probably turn into a couple places here. And I went to Mark afterwards, and he's kind of sitting there and hanging out. And I was like, "You focus?" And he's like, "No, I can't do it yet." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I can't get focused this early. Like the amount of time that I can stay focused is too short. If I do it now, it's going to be gone by the time I get up to shoot."
Oh,
and so that's a really good example of somebody he knows himself, right?
Yeah.
He's like, when I am on deck, that's my time, or in the hole, or whatever it is for him. Like for him, that is the time for him to get focused. And if he does it early, it kind of peaks and it plateaus off the other side, and it doesn't work anymore. So I feel like it is a very kind of long self-discovery process, like figuring out the mental side of that. So
right. So what do you do about like managing your squad mates? Like as far as I don't know, like maybe someone wants to give you a hard time for a stage performance, or like what happened out there kind of thing. Maybe it was poor, or even beforehand, like you're trying to get in the zone and do your visualizations. Someone's maybe hey, do you have any tape, or do you know where this is? What's your stage plan? Mm-hmm. How do you politely handle that?
So for the pre-shooting, like it's usually pretty clear. I'm like head down, eyes closed, pantomiming the stage, and if somebody says something to me, I honestly just straight up ignore them. Like I'm like this is my time. I'm on deck. I'm about to shoot. Like this is the entire point of being here. Like I just straight up ignore them. And most people get that. They're like they see that person, especially if you're one of the guys like me who does all the kind of the air gunning thing while they're standing there. It's like, all right, this guy is clearly thinking about things that I should not intrude on. After the stage, honestly, that stuff doesn't really bother me. And I think everyone's different. Like I've seen people get super pissed. Like someone comes off and they get a good nature like, dude, can't shoot the shotgun, huh? And like just have a complete come apart.
That's me.
Yeah.
Like I don't like that. Like first off, like that is not helping anything.
Well, and so I mean, this
Please give me
this
a moment.
goes into the 5-minute rule, right? It's like give
at
that
least
guy,
let me put my guns down so I don't whack you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like don't cause Dave to get a match DQ. Well, and this is one of those things. It's like
I would argue justified.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd arbitrate that for you. You're like, I got video of this. Like the guy had it coming. No, but so yeah, I mean, most people are they understand that, right? They're like, this dude just had a problem, whatever. And a lot of that goes back to like, you know, if I know the people that I'm shooting with, I know what everybody's temperament is, and I'm never like, if somebody just goes out there and wrecks a stage, I'm never gonna like give them shit like while they're walking back from the line. I won't. Other people might. I
had an RO do it to me on stage here. Yeah, obviously shooting the same division.
Yeah. Oh man. So. You know, I honestly don't have a good answer. I just don't. Like, I do a really good job of kind of blowing that off because I think mostly when I have a wreck that's that bad, I'm so far in my own head that it's just like the Charlie Brown mom, like, wah, 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 wah. Like, I basically don't hear anything anyone was saying to me because I'm just like, God, that was embarrassing. But, you know, at the same time, like, I told everybody on the squad today, I was like, guys, we're on the last stage of day 2, and nobody's made a single short joke yet. I am severely, severely disappointed in you guys.
Well,
like,
that's something completely different.
Yeah,
that's
that's a totally different thing. But yeah, I mean,
but seriously, 2 days and no one said a short joke?
You believe that?
Good Lord.
And then I think everyone is.
I made a short joke when I saw your truck, but I didn't see you.
Yeah, but you weren't on my squad, so you didn't count.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, no, it's tragedy. It's tragedy. But yeah, I mean, that's entirely a personal thing. How you're gonna handle that?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to coach that. And honestly, like, no matter what I told anybody, like, you're gonna do what you're gonna do because at that point you're so emotional, and you just like, I've had that where I'm just like, if nobody was standing around, I would javelin the shotgun across the range.
Yeah.
Like, if I was here by myself, like, but you just can't. You just straight up like, you gotta act like a freaking professional.
Yeah, you know, my gear costs too much for me to want to javelin it. I would just shout a lot of swear words, you know, but I try to, you know, if something does happen, like, you know, on stage 8 over there where I had all the malfunctions on my rifle and had to mortar it a bunch of times, you know, I try to put my head down, use the bill of my cap to, like, signal, like, I don't want to be talked to. But
and that's the thing. It's like
some people don't pick up on
some
cues.
people just straight up do not pick up on social cues. It's like if you have that look on your face, like if you say anything to me, you're going to get your head twisted off. 90% of people will be like, all right, don't talk to Dave right now. Like, that's cool. Yeah. But, I mean.
Yeah, but here's the problem, too, and this is something I struggle with. So we're putting it out on the podcast now.
Okay.
And there are personalities that are like, well, guess what I'm going to do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to start screwing with Dave.
Yeah, exactly. But it's so, I mean, I've chosen this thing to do, and I understand that, and I choose how much of myself I put out there. But my nature is to be open. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I have dropped like a, dude, now's not the time. Like, I've done a couple of those before, but mostly I don't know if I just have like, you know, resting bitch face or what. But like usually when I come off a stage and it's a train wreck, like. I usually don't have anyone say anything to me, and I think I just kind of look like I'm not in the mood.
Right.
Yep.
If it's not bad, I'll say I need 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. We can talk about this later or something like that. But but man, if it's just like, you know, egregious or said with like a laugh or a smile, well, I had almost getting punched.
Well, so here's the thing. So I had and I got no problem putting this one out there. Like last year, I went and shot Pro-Am, which was a really important match to me. It was my first match out east. it was the first time I'd ever gotten on a plane and flown anywhere for a match. Like I was there, AmTac was put on a side stage, like I'm representing these companies. It was also in the middle of my first year as a like sponsored shooter. And it was like, all right, I'm going to go out here to the east. I'm going to shoot against all these guys that I've never shot against before and go see what I'm really made of. And so I shoot 2.5 days of just lights out shooting. I go into the last day 5 points ahead of Brian Nelson, who finished in 3rd place. And so I'm like, I got no business beating Brian. It's something like that, right? Like I'm just shooting the match of my life. And I walk up to the last stage, which is the one on the golf course. And it had, so you shoot from the post, and there's like 4 or 5 200-yard plates, and then a bunch of other stuff, right? And I'm so excited. I got, Brian was doing like the pre make ready match footage where like each of my stage videos are like 8 minutes long of like interviewing people and stuff. Like, by the way, I love that stuff. Like the beep and the mesh for like, I love the peanut gallery stuff. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And so, so he's like, oh, how do you think people are going to do here? Like, how's Evan going to do? And everyone's like, oh, he's going to do really good. He's, and I walked through. I'm like, I'm going to burn this stage to the ground. And I walked up, and I did the math on it later. All I had to do to stay in the top 5 was put down a top 100 place stage. All of my stage finishes to that point were in the single digits, I think. I think I might have had one 11th or 12th. And at like 60-ish%. Beep, buzzer goes off. Take 2 knees on that plate, and I put 18 rounds at a 200-yard, 10-inch plate. Nothing. And I moved on to the next one. Hit. Moved back to the first one. Ran the rifle dry. I still, to this day, have no idea what happened. It wasn't an elevation change. It was exactly the same distance, exactly the same presentation as all the other ones. Could not hit that plate. It was a 30-second stage. I shot it in like 85 seconds. Plus, I shot a FTE on one of the pistol paper. So I shot like 42% on that stage, and it dropped me from 3rd to 11th.
Wow.
So out of the medals, and I mean, that place, like the medals that the Australians bring out, like, that would have been a really big deal for me. Brazilians.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry, guys. I apologize.
Whew.
Yeah, those medals were awesome. But, yeah, so, I mean, I was like, I went from, like, the match of my life to, like, I just threw this thing away on like, literally one target. And I walked, and it was just crickets, right? I mean, everybody knew, right?
Right.
And so I walked back, and I just went, guys, I need more than 5. And I just walked off, and I found a willow tree, and I probably sat there for, like, 15, 20 minutes, like, thinking about some life choices.
Yeah.
And it was a stage, and I did think about the fact that it was a stage that took like one person to reset. It was a very simple reset stage, and everybody was just like, dude, all the time you need, like, as I'm walking off. And I sat under that tree for a long time, and I was just like, what the hell just happened, right? I mean, it was just absolutely devastating. Like, I've said, oh yeah, I shot a no shooting. I've never had anything like that in my entire life. And that was tough, man. Like, that was really, really hard, and that kind of colored the rest of my season shooting through. Because then I went to Pro-Am or Generation 3 gun after that, and just shot like a complete retard. Because I'm like, now I got something to prove because I just threw that away, and so I shot like a 12th place finish where I should have been, I don't know, like whatever I should have been at, but just like, just dumb mental stuff, and just really carried it into the next match. And that ability to have either a really good performance, because it works both ways, right? Like, have a really good performance or a really bad performance and not carry that into the next stage or the next match is, I mean, like, maybe Jerry's good at it. It's like, somebody's been shooting for that long, but like, that is something that plagues everybody.
Right.
And it's the people in those, in that middle region that think that they're unique, that they feels terrible that they had some terrible thing. Like, no, that happens to everybody. Like, everybody has that. And I think at some point that is the hardest part of the entire game, because like, at some level all the people can kind of do all the stuff at give or take the same level, right? Like, everybody in the top 5 at this match can draw a pistol about the same speed, can quad load a shotgun about the same speed, can split rifles about the same speed, but there is an ability to manage yourself throughout the day mentally and execute exactly to the ability that you know you have, but not one line over that thing. And like, I think about the 3-gun to me is driving into a corner in a car going 1 mile an hour too fast. And you're like, Do I stomp on the brakes? Do I lift off the gas? Do I push on the gas and like drive this thing to the corner? It's like, what is the right move right here, or we're going off this thing?
Right.
And that's a really hard thing. I mean, I think it's certainly where I'm at. Like, that is the crux for me, by far the hardest part. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had some awesome answer for like fixing that, because if I feel like I'm in a much better place now. Like, I shot a pretty good match. I kind of had one really bad stage, but everything else went pretty good. Kept my head in it, and that for me has been working. Is like when I'm in the hole, from then to my mags are done getting stuff for the next stage. That is Adam taking it seriously, and the rest of it is Adam having fun with friends. And that, for me personally, that's about as close to the magic formula as I can really get.
Mm-hmm. So. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, I think that's a good place to finish here. I think that's good. It's going to give people a lot to think about, because it is something that we do all struggle with, no matter what the level that we're at in the game. So it's definitely something that I struggle with myself, trying to figure out exactly how I want to to manage my entire match and everything. And you're doing it. And there's people in the room nodding right now. So
I think we're officially, these aren't like head nods. These are full body, like you need to leave nods.
No.
So.
This is we agree with what you're saying, nods.
Oh, okay. All right then. It's like music in the background. All right. Well, thanks, Cindy. Appreciate it.
Well, Adam, let's do the thing we always do on the show. Let's wrap up with one final thought, one piece of advice we can give the audience.
Okay. Well, if we're gonna stick with the match management thing, I would say, since I just got all deep and stuff there, you're like, we're going to end with that. No, actually, we're going to do these other things.
No, we are going to end it there, but I'm going to give you one last opportunity to,
I would
to
say
that you need to.
The end of your match management, the post-match, watching your footage, looking for places to improve, talking to people who watch you shoot and learning from them. And then the last thing that I always try to do is I will email match directors or call them if I know them well enough or whatever, and give them a critique of their match, because very few match directors actually get a legit, this is what I liked and this is what I didn't like critique. And most of these people want to
I found that most match directors don't like that.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting. I have done that to, I don't know, a dozen or so match directors, and I've never gotten anything really bad back.
Weird.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe you're just
maybe I shouldn't do it in public.
Yeah, maybe not. So I mean, this is a much more private thing, and it's both, right? It's not like stage 6 was dumb and your RO on stage 2 was a jerk, and like, no, it's like I liked all of these things and I didn't like all of these things, and like, I appreciate all the work, because dude, these guys put in a lot of work.
Oh, totally,
like, for sure,
totally.
And then the last thing that I do is just making sure that like we're sitting inside the clubhouse right now and they're setting up the prize table. Like, you pull some stuff from the prize table, let that company know that you appreciate them putting stuff on the price table, because otherwise they just send thousands of dollars of stuff to a match and it vanishes into the ether. Like, let them know that you appreciate that.
The tough part is getting the POC, because a lot of times we'll just tag someone on Facebook or Instagram. Yeah. And sometimes that's like a 19-year-old dude that doesn't give an S about shooting at all.
Exactly. So yeah. I email the company, like if I find the contact form, if I can find like the email, the 3-gun, such as if you can. I've emailed match directors before and been like, yo, who's a sponsor coordinator for, whoever the heck, and actually send them an email and say thanks, and like, hey, this is what I did with this.
Texas 3-Gun was really cool about that. They gave all the contacts so you could send thank yous and everything.
That's awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that's good.
Let people know. It's the gist.
I like, let them know we appreciate them. We appreciate you, Cindy.
We do.
We're going to be doing that. We're getting permission from them to give their contact information out.
All right.
Oh, cool. Right on.
All right, Adam, thanks for spending your afternoon here before the prize table in this nice, cool air conditioning.
It's going to be hard to leave.
I know, sipping Leinenkugels.
Yeah. It's going to be hard to leave.
Yeah, this is a good one, dude. I got a lot from this. I know I'm going to listen to this, obviously in the editing process, but again, before and after matches. Appreciate your time, man. This is a good one. Thank you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 216. And if you're heading to Red October or the Big Bend Blast and Dash, I'll see you there. This podcast is brought to you by Armalite, the original Armalite rifles put the AR in AR-15. The rifles themselves come with 1 8 twist barrels, match barrels, 18-inch or 13.5-inch with a 15-inch or 12.5-inch handguard, Timney trigger, Luth AR stock, adjustable gas system, tunable comp, a patented tunable comp. This thing's ready to go right out of the box for a 3-gun with no additional modifications other than putting on a nice optic. I myself use a Vortex Viper PST 1-6 when I'm shooting TAC Ops or their Spitfire when I'm shooting limited. Check them out at armalite.com.
Quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content, so you will always get the very latest. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, and subscribing to the show. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.